Welcome, everyone, to episode 140 of Control the Zone. My name is Ty Gonzalez, joined as always by Colby Patnode. We are releasing this episode for free to everyone across YouTube. I think we might even put it on Spotify. This usually goes out to all of our subscribers on Patreon, but we're doing a little test run here because we're a couple days away from the Mariners starting to play games pretty much every day through from here until hopefully November. So thought no better time to do a free episode of CTZ and give you guys an idea of what we do over on our Patreon than now. So I assume a lot of you that are listening to this are probably coming over from Locked On, and maybe some of you didn't even know that we did a Patreon show. I mean, we do remind you guys at the start of every episode of Locked On, but this is kind of what it's going to be, and this show is very different than Locked On. We made the decision around the time that we started Locked On that we were going to turn the show into more so of a all Seattle sports type of show. We also just kind of shoot the shit, Colby and I, and just talk about really whatever we want. Sometimes it's structured, most of the time it's not, and we just kind of let it rip and see what happens. But yeah, so hopefully you guys like this, and if you want to subscribe, you can go to patreon.com/control the zone, and we have a tier 1 subscription for $3 a month, and that gets you access to episodes like this one that comes out on Wednesday. And you can get access to a bonus episode every week as well that comes out on Monday for $5 a month with our tier 2 subscription. So yeah, what this show really is, I mean, we talk some Mariners, we talk Seattle sports, we talk about whatever we want, and it is very much NSFW. So it is not like Locked On. You're going to hear us say a lot of words that we are not allowed to say on Locked On. So we'll give you that warning now. But yeah, Colby, what's up, man?
Not much. If you're coming over from Locked On, I'm sorry Ty is being an infant because he can't do 2 shows today because apparently he's coughing too much or whatever. Like, I've done this show with a separated shoulder before, but sure, Ty's coughing, so let's
Separated shoulder? When did that happen?
that might be an exaggeration, but you'll never know. Anyways, just
This is
trust
the
me, it
first
happened.
that I ever heard of that.
All right, maybe it didn't happen, but yeah, by the way, people are mad that I did my math wrong about the Kalnick pop-up thing.
You did your math wrong?
Yeah, no, I added the 2 percentages together, but first you have to remove the at-bats that were a strikeout because then the pop-up rates are just, batted balls. That's percent of batted balls. So yeah, my math's off, but either way, anyway, guys really want to slice it. Jared Kelenick's hitting way too many pop-ups and he's striking out way too much. So yeah, 49% of his at-bats did not end that way, but it's still too many. So math aside, the point is still correct. So
Idiot.
yeah. Okay. Well, let's see you do math.
There was a no one wants to see that. There was one guy that also did not get the bit about me just doing this for money. I'm not actually a Mariners fan. He was like, wow, you're actually not a Mariners fan and just doing this for money? Is Colby even a Mariners fan? And I thought about being like, nah, we don't even like baseball. We don't even like sports. But I decided against it. And I just let it be, and maybe someone else will will tell him what's going on there. But
yeah, yeah, we do it for the money. If you guys don't know, we make dozens of dollars doing these
we make
podcasts.
millions and millions of pennies
Do
over
we
the course
even?
of like a 10-year span.
How much money is a million pennies? Is that like $1,000?
It's 10,000. That's
Yeah,
$10,000.
I wish we made a
So
million pennies.
so within a year, we might make a million pennies.
Kind of depends on how good the year is, though. So, but
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, you guys didn't know Ty is a Mariners fan, not as big as I am, because apparently I have more Mariners stuff in my background, which is
I'm
nothing.
actually a Yankees fan. I'm on a East Coast bias shit.
Yeah. So yeah, by the way, as Ty mentioned, tier 1 gets you access to Wednesday show, tier 2 will get you access to Monday and Wednesday, and then we do a live stream on Friday on our YouTube channel, which is probably should change the name of it. Doesn't really make sense right now, but the YouTube channel is True to the Trident. We're at about like 1,400 subs there. I post videos sometimes. I want to post more, but obviously with the laptop issues I had the last few weeks, kind of tough. But whatever.
You've got a new laptop now, though.
Yeah, yep. I've already got I'm like 85% done with the next video. So,
So yesterday when we were recording, I mean, you were using your new laptop, but were you able to like go on other websites while we were recording?
I
And,
had
like,
I had a tab open.
okay, there we go.
So
See, that's the thing, right, guys? Like, so whenever we've recorded in the past, because Colby's old laptop had the RAM of like a 1997 laptop.
I think it was 8
Uh,
gigs.
Either way, he wasn't able to run literally any other tabs without it starting to freeze the recording. So
Yeah.
hopefully that's fixed now.
There wasn't really an issue though with my Chromebook, which is weird, which is what I used last week. So,
Right.
um, yeah, but yeah, I whatever. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, that's what we're doing. And also, there's probably going to be some changes to the tier list or to the tiers. We might add a tier. We might, move some things around and whatnot and
Yeah.
change some things. We're still working on that, but tier 1 is always going to get Wednesday episodes, or sometimes we do them on Thursday, whatever. You get the idea.
Right.
You'll get 1 episode a week, and then tier 2 is always going to get 2 episodes a week, and then we'll see what we add from there. So yeah, patreon.com/control the zone.
Mhm.
To sign up, we also offer yearly subscriptions at a discount. So if you guys want to do that, blah, blah, blah. And we're going to do, we're going to do an episode now that we haven't done before, actually. So
Yeah.
yeah, this is going to be a AMA episode. Our patrons have know how to send us questions, and we have a Bitly set up to do that. And if you guys
Yep.
subscribe, we'll send you the Bitly, and you guys can ask us any questions you want, and not have to worry about what we can and can't answer from Locked On, or anything like that. So we're going to just roll through some of these questions today, and that's going to be our show. So yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna answer some of these questions that we got here. Maybe we'll talk about some other stuff. We'll see how much time we have. I don't know if we're gonna answer all these questions because we might want to save a couple for next week, just in case we don't get too many questions. We'll see.
I don't want to say though that this is going to be a weekly thing.
That's true too. Right.
So,
We're not gonna do it all the time. But
right.
it's definitely something that's gonna be there for us to kind of lean on in case we don't have anything else to really cover or whatever. We'll see.
I don't know. I just think whenever we get a couple good questions is
Yeah.
probably just kind of like, yeah. Because you guys don't have to ask us like super serious questions either. You know what I mean? It just
No. Yeah. Really, honestly, I encourage you guys to ask us stuff other than Mariners related stuff because we already do that on pretty much every Monday on Locked On M's, and I think we're going to still do mailbag shows during spring training and even during the regular season.
you
Maybe
guys seem to
not
like those.
every week, but we'll probably do it at least once a month during the regular season.
I'd
Not more.
venture a little bit more, but yeah, we'll just see. You guys
Yeah.
tend to like those. Our numbers say that you guys like those mailbag Mondays. So as long as they keep producing, you guys keep showing an interest, we'll do some. But
Yeah.
it'll just be nice, Ty, that we don't have another Monday episode without Mariners games to talk about until hopefully late October. So
Yeah.
that'll
Well,
be
hopefully
nice.
November, right?
I don't know what day the World Series ends, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, if you join the Patreon, you can send us questions and all that good stuff. So, yeah. All right. Well, let's get into these. Let's get into these questions. Let's start here. Some of these, or most of these, don't have a name attached to them. So, but if you want us to know who you are and want us to give you a shout out, please include your name and anything else that you want mentioned.
Location,
yeah, whatever.
Twitter handle. If you guys are a tier 3, let us know and we'll shout out your business. Unless it's like, what's a delicate way to say this?
Adult entertainment.
I mean, on the Patreon we could do that, but I mean, like,
Sure.
yeah, we're probably not gonna like pitch your escort service, to say it nicely. We're not gonna push your. There are some political
If you
organizations that like,
sure.
like just I think you guys
If
know
you
us
have a
well enough.
if you have a dispensary though, I'll do
Yeah,
that for you. I'll show you
Ty will
out.
definitely do that. Yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to it either. So
And if you want to throw a little discount over my way for maybe the time that I come to
yeah,
Washington,
there you go.
yeah, I'll take that too.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyways,
So let's start with a fun one here. And it literally includes the word fun. Just for fun, what's the worst defensive alignment you can make with the Mariners starting lineup? All right. So Ty
you
France
mean
has to play center field
or shortstop?
or shortstop. Yeah.
Like, who do you think would be worse in center field, Ty France or Cal Raleigh?
Ty France. Cal's got wheels. Cal's got
Cal
wheels.
does not have. He has more wheels than Ty France, but like, no,
He's got wheels. He's got
no,
wheels.
he doesn't. But like, I guess relative to his size, I don't know how you're gonna say he has wheels, but yeah. So then it's
Yeah.
probably France in center, right? You want to start up the middle, so France in center,
Yep. Let's
Cal
go
at
Cal
short,
at short.
yeah,
Yeah.
and Cal at short,
Yeah.
um, catcher and like JP,
Mm,
Sam Haggerty, like
I think like
who's
because JP is
I feel like
athletic enough. I feel like we should put like all the athletic dudes need to go at places where like athleticism isn't as important.
right, which is catcher,
I mean, you got to be pretty
but
athletic
it's
to
a
play
different kind
catcher.
of
And it
athleticism.
yeah.
Because you could say first base, but like we see Evan White play first base, and we see like
Oh, who's the shortest guy on the team? That's who we should put at first base.
no, don't be a little league coach, you moron. Um, by the way,
That's
like
actually the opposite of, of being a little league
I
coach.
know, but like you're like, oh well, the tall kid goes at first, so the opposite of that
Yeah,
is the
exactly.
short kid. Don't be
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Don't be that guy. So let's see. So Ty in center,
Uh,
Raleigh at short.
yeah.
Who do we want in the? Obviously,
M-
you don't want any of the outfielders in the outfield. So like
Murph
Mitch
at
Haniger
second.
is still on this team. What?
Murph at second. Yeah, I heard
Uh,
you.
yeah. I actually think Murphy's played left field in the big leagues for an inning.
Really?
I feel like I remember him being out there on one of those days in like 2019. Like they kind of ran into a situation and they needed a guy to go stand at left field for an inning, and so they used him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that happened.
All right, AJ Pollock at catcher.
I guess. I mean, I don't know. I guess.
Or Tommy LaStella with his fucked up Achilles.
Jared Kelnick at third.
Yeah, lefty.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Julio has to be on the bench. Like there's no way to put Julio somewhere where he's going to be bad. So
Yeah. Just Julio fucks off.
yeah,
So he's
it's
not
a
in the
rest
lineup.
day.
Yeah.
First base is tough because I don't think you're going to find anybody who would be like awful at first base. So you just kind of have to pick
Mhm.
somebody. So I will say JP at first,
Okay.
Murphy at second,
Yeah.
Cal at short, Kelnick at
Mhm.
third.
Mm.
The outfield ties in center.
Yep.
So then you need the corner outfield spots. Wong has to
Can
be
we?
one of them because Moore and Haggerty both play there fine. So
Right.
yeah,
Hmm.
it's you're probably actually putting Teoscar in the outfield. Like Teo in left, Cal Raleigh in center, and Colton Wong in right. I think that's
Ty
probably.
France at center. But
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Colton Wong, right? Yeah. Sure. Yeah. All right. So
That's
around the diamond, Pollock or LaStella at catcher.
yeah.
JP at first, Murph at
Yep.
second, Raleigh at short, Kelnick at third, Teo in left, which yeah, that's fine. That's probably the best that you
I mean, like,
have on the.
what else are you gonna do? Because it's either Julio, Moore, or Haggerty. All those guys can play great left field, so it's got to be Teo.
I don't know about great, but for
Who's the Dylan Moore hater now?
I was more so talking about whatever.
Are you gonna say Sam Haggerty's not? Dude, he Spider-Man caught that ball in Detroit. Okay,
That's true.
who's the
That
Sam
was pretty
Haggerty
fire.
hater now?
That was pretty fire. He's pretty good. He's a pretty good defender. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's got to
In a corner
be
outfield spot. Yeah.
Long and right.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
guess LaStella and left.
I feel like that. Yeah. Let's go. Yeah, let's go. Pollock at catcher, LaStella in left, and then Wong and right. Teo sits. Julio sits.
Right. Moore and Haggerty sit.
Warren Haggerty
They're too
sit.
good.
Yeah.
They're
too
too
versatile.
good to play in the bad defensive lineup. So there you go. That is Philly's ass.
Actually, Dylan Moore is kind of a low key good option at catcher because of his noodle arm.
Yeah, but he's athletic. Like,
yeah. God, I just remember that relay throw that he's.
it's
I forget
terrible.
who it was against.
Just Texas.
Was it Texas?
You just kind of like look like you like shot put it and it like rolled home. You're like, come on, dude. Come on, Dylan. I know you can throw harder than that, but
Yeah.
yeah. And then like, I guess if you want a pitcher, that would be Dylan Moore. So
Let Julio pitch.
for the love of God, never do that. He can do it when he's 41 and he's at the end of his career.
But again, we gotta make the worst defensive alignment here. So what would be the worst decision you could possibly make at pitcher? Julio.
No, it would be Dylan Moore because we've seen Dylan Moore pitch. He sucks at it.
Have we actually seen Dylan Moore pitch?
Yes.
I don't remember that.
He's no Luis Torrens.
When did that happen?
I'll say that. Happened a few times.
When did that happen?
It's happened a few times.
Really? I don't remember any of those times.
Yes. Dylan Moore has absolutely pitched.
Well, clearly I blanked that out of my memory.
Also, I think Tom Murphy might have an inning or two.
Yeah, Murph definitely does.
Yeah, because usually they just throw the backup catcher out there.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, thanks for the question, whoever you are.
Okay, Dylan Moore has appeared in one game as a pitcher.
Okay.
He threw one inning.
Okay.
Gave up 5 hits. Who? I don't care. Gave up 5 hits, 4 earned runs, and walked 2, and faced 10 batters.
Okay, but when was this?
I don't care. 2019.
Okay, thank you for telling me.
If you guys are curious, that's a 36 ERA, a 9.21 FIP, an ERA plus of 16, and a 7 WHIP. 45 hits per 9.
Oh, just more fuel for your Dylan Moore hate.
Dude can't pitch. What's his point? What's the point?
All right, next question. Do either of you ever feel like you'll burn out for baseball? I can't imagine doing 7 shows a week.
Neither can Ty. He's always looking to take days off.
We actually do 8 shows a week, most weeks.
But, if you count the live stream.
I count the live stream, even though it's like, it's very different, right? Because we just go on live. You guys just ask questions, and we just vibe out for a bit.
Yeah, we're kind of like your dancing monkeys. You guys jingle the keys with topics you want us to prattle on about, and we do it. So,
and then I don't have to edit it, right? So, yeah. Will we ever burn out of baseball? No. I love baseball. That's why I talk about it all the time, because I fucking love baseball.
The only thing that sucks about doing 7 shows a week is you guys. No.
No, the thing that sucks about it is like this period. Yeah. And we've talked about this before on CTZ. This was the thing that I was going to mention earlier, and then I completely froze and I forgot what I was going to say before we hopped into the questions. Is like we get really behind the scenes on CTZ. We talk about like our preparation for locked on shows and all that stuff. So if that sounds interesting to you, subscribe. We talk about that. It's just this period of time where we get back to the 5 shows a week on Locked On, but it's still before spring games are happening, and Colby and I, if you know us, we we're not into the whole like creating content out of nothing thing, where it's like, let's overreact to videos on the backfields at the Peoria Sports Complex. Like, whoa, Jared Kelnick took Chris Flexen deep. What do you think that means for his 2023 season? Like, we're
And I
not.
mean, like, who hasn't, right? So how big of a deal is that really?
Yeah.
But yeah, we're not big fans of that. And obviously there are shows that we are going to do and we know we're going to do. We're going to do position previews. We're going to do, like breakout candidates, and we're going to do like team awards and league awards and like
Yeah.
bold predictions. We're going to do all that stuff.
Yep.
But
Yep.
if we do those now, right, then we have nothing to talk about in March except for trying to come up with 30 minutes of things to talk about in the last spring training game that we probably didn't get to watch. So you see
Yeah.
the issue. We kind of
Yeah.
have to spread this out in February. So plus we have a couple days where we know we're going to have to plan ahead and record ahead, and we need those topics to stay because we don't know what will be interesting on March 10th when we're recording on March 3rd. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's just, yeah, that part is hard. Once the season starts, we never struggle to find topics
Yeah.
because we're always getting
No,
new information.
Yeah, we're always getting new information, and there's just like, dude, like we've been talking about 2022 and everything within the context of 2022 for the last 5 months since the season ended, right? So we've run out of stuff to talk about essentially from that,
Right.
and like really because like the moves that the Mariners have made this offseason have been so few and far between. We've talked about everything that has gone with that as well. So
plus we do emergency pods for every move they make, except
right.
for Saucy. What's his name? Sausalito or
Saucedo.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like waiver claims and all that stuff we're not doing.
We did waiver claims
but
though.
When?
Pretty sure we did a
When
waiver.
have we done an emergency? When have we done an emergency show?
We did an emergency show for every 40-man ad they had in trade and free agency.
We didn't for Luke Weaver.
Well, I mean, that was different. That was like still the regular season going on. And we should have. I wanted to, but you were like, no, I refuse. So
The only weird one that I remember us doing was Trevor Gott. And that was just because we were like, LOL, let's see like how many people will watch a Trevor Gott episode.
And the answer is quite a few of you. You guys love the breaking podcast.
You guys are sickos.
I get it. You're like, oh, I don't know much about Trevor Gott. Maybe these guys know something. So I get it. I totally get it.
And then they watch and it's like, nope, they don't.
Well, but they keep coming back. So we appreciate that.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, like I think like our third most watched video since we started this, and our numbers on audio only, they say pretty much the same, right? Like it's roughly the same number of people listen.
It's actually been a lot higher recently.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Because we had kind of plateaued there for a while.
Yeah, it was again, we get very transparent and behind the scenes about this stuff. So we were usually hanging around like 2,000, 2,200-ish downloads per episode on the audio only. And now we're like 2,800 to 3,200 pretty much every episode.
Nice. Too bad that
pretty much since the Jerry interview.
Huh. It's interesting since, that wasn't reflected in our last paycheck. Anyways, so
that's because we were doing 3 shows a week.
I guess, but
it was our only, and
that didn't impact us in December. But whatever.
By the way, yeah, but January is the only month where we did a full month of 3 shows a week.
We got Jerry DePoto in January. Come on.
Yeah, but that was like our only big episode.
Whatever. Anyways,
whatever.
Yeah. So Ty
sounds like someone is only in it for the money.
Absolutely. I'm done doing this stuff for free. I did that for like 3 years, so that's over. Plus, to quote the Joker, if you're good at something, you never do it for free. And I'm good at this, and I'm affable. Had to throw.
Of course, it's always good to quote the Joker. That's always someone that you want to quote.
It's a good role model, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, you know what? Let's not pretend Batman's a better role model. Okay. Those are two sides of
I
the
would
same
do
coin.
my Batman voice right now, but I
I'm
think that would
Batman.
destroy my throat, and then we wouldn't be able to do the rest of the show.
Yeah.
So
Anyways, what I was trying to say is that Ty Ty mostly handles the audio version, and I mostly handle the video version of our
yeah,
show.
yeah.
So I'm much more familiar with the video side of things and numbers wise. And like our third most watched episode ever was the Kyle Lewis for Cooper Hummel trade. Go figure, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you guys love
Well,
transactions.
it's yeah, I mean people know Kyle Lewis. People, a lot of Mariners fans love Kyle Lewis. It makes
I'm
sense.
pretty sure that we got more views on the Kyle Lewis video than we did the Luis Castillo video.
That's funny.
That's not a joke either. So I'm
Yeah.
actually gonna look that up real fast.
I mean, we probably had like half the subscriber count that we did at the time of the
Okay.
Lewis trade though. So,
They were only 3 months apart, but so here's real fast. Okay, yeah. So our most watched video was the video after the Mariners pulled the comeback against the Blue Jays.
right.
Um, second most watched video is the Luis Castillo video.
Okay.
It has moved to second. It is at 10.7.
Uh,
Kyle Lewis is third. It is at 10.3. So
mm.
yes, Kyle Lewis is number 3. By the way, number 4, just for fun. The Robbie Ray game against the Astros, game 1. Yeah, those are the 4 videos.
I
that
don't
got
like
over.
that episode. I don't like that episode. I hate that episode, to be quite honest
Why?
with you. Well, not just one, because it brings up a lot of bad memories. 2,
Sure.
I don't think I handled that one well. Like, as a host, I think I got too much. I got way too into my feels on that one, and I
I think
didn't
that's what
properly
people like
express
about us,
myself.
though.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I felt like I felt bad after that episode though. Like, I felt worse about that episode after we did it than the game itself.
Wow. So Ty, here's kind of a fun thing, right? I'm just
Uh-huh.
going through our most viewed videos, and
Yeah.
like most of these, I'm like, okay, like yeah, I get why that did well. Like the Teo is number 5, that's 95.
Yeah.
Jerry is at 9.2,
Yep.
which is pretty impressive considering that was 3 weeks ago, and the Teo thing was 3 months ago. So, and then like
Well, the Jerry one's gotten like fairly consistent views, even like even now. I think it's getting like, I don't know, a couple hundred views
yeah.
here and there.
So yeah, Jerry will be in the top 5 here in a few weeks, I think. I'm pretty sure it'll eventually break 10K. And then I'm looking at the rest of these, like AJ Pollock, the emergency pod for AJ
Mhm.
Pollock got 8.8. That's like number 7. I was like, huh, okay. Kind of
Yeah.
get it. Colton Wong is only at 8K,
Right.
which is kind of weird. I guess because we didn't put emergency in front of it. And so I'm just kind of scrolling down, like, what's the weirdest episode that like did really well for us? And we have one where Ohtani is on the front or on the clip, and that's like 8. But I think the
Yeah.
weirdest one, like the most random one that did really well for us, we had a Fan Fiction Friday episode from 3 months ago that got 6K views.
What the fuck? What did we talk about?
I don't know.
What's the title?
The Fan Fiction Friday, Seattle Mariners and New York Yankees making a trade?
It's because of
Question mark.
Yankees. It's probably like Yankees fans that were recommended that video.
Probably. But anyways, that's that's a long-winded way of saying no, actually. I don't think we'll get bored.
Maybe we should just put Yankees in every title from
And
now
so,
on.
dude, put Ohtani or Yankee in every thumbnail.
Because because like the Frankie Montas one that we did last week is like our best video, and like just our best like random video, non-Jerry interview video, like in a while, I think.
Our last 3 videos are going to be over 3K, which is pretty good for us. So
Hopefully you guys aren't hearing me cough too much. I'm trying to mute, but sometimes it just comes on way before I can mute. So I'm trying to pull the mic away.
Yeah, that
Uh,
reminds me, by the way.
uh,
We need to like get going on the shorts.
yeah. So are we able to monetize those now?
I think so.
Okay, because it wouldn't let me monetize the
That's because
Jerry Chills one.
you posted it on like January 30th
Yeah,
and it didn't start until February 1st. So
gotcha.
I don't know. We have to try it. The only way we will know is if we upload one and see what happens. Ty, you'll be happy to know that 5 of our last 6 shows have gotten over 3K on YouTube.
Nice.
You might not be happy to know which one didn't.
Yeah, let's not do this. I don't want to do this again.
Sure,
You've
sure.
you've ragged on me enough about this, about the Gary Hill interview.
I'm more sad for
Uh,
Gary, but I am also happy that
I thought that
you
was a really good interview too.
I thought you patted yourself on the back a little too much.
Wow.
Like the first 20 minutes were all like, "Wasn't that awesome? We were at that game that nobody else was at." Like,
Yeah, I was talking to my buddy basically. I was like, dude,
yeah, that's
I people want to hear that. People want to hear that. People
apparently
people
not.
like that. We got
Apparently
we
not.
got good. Well, but they didn't know that I was. If they didn't
Apparently
click on it,
not.
they did not know that I was talking. We didn't. Whatever. Okay. What do you guys do for a living? That's what Nick, aka at man_flutes
That's
from
quite an
Graham.
ad. Oh,
That's
Nick.
what Nick is asking here. What do we do for a living? Well, for me, this is it. It's like Locked On,
Mhm.
Seattle Overload, CTZ. That's it for me. I was covering the Seahawks professionally for a while, and that was like my main gig. And then I started a Mariners website on that same network that will remain nameless, and it did not go well. So that's a story for some other time way down the road on
Yeah.
how that all
Ty
came to
keeps
be. But
teasing that story, and yet he always keeps going like, "Oh, I'll tell you guys later."
yeah, it's still too fresh. It's still too fresh.
I think
Um,
Ty's more afraid of litigation than anything, but whatever.
yeah,
Not my
yeah,
call.
yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. I've been taking a break from writing and just kind of doing this, and like all jokes aside, I mean, we make decent enough money, not this past month, for January, but that's because it was our only month doing 3 shows a week. So I assume the money's going to look a little bit better the next couple of months here, but
Ooh, we'll see.
we'll see. Well, maybe
It
maybe not
better.
February, because February is a short month anyway, so it kind of fucks us in that way too. So but yeah, so
Yeah.
but yeah, so Lockdown's like I would consider my main gig, and then CTZ and Seattle Overload are just kind of supplementary
Can you
outlets. So
consider Overload supplementary yet?
that yeah, that got resolved,
Oh,
so we're
okay,
good.
that's good. That's good. Oh,
We're
good.
good.
You'll have to tell
Yeah,
me about that.
yeah,
Um,
we're good.
okay.
Yeah,
I was gonna say because like litigation should be coming soon, if not. But
we are good as of 3 or 4 days ago.
you
Yeah,
guys have been made whole on that, huh?
partly.
I was gonna say, did you get a lump sum, or is it like a,
Partly.
or is it just like a
Partly.
wink and a nod and a promise type of thing? Ooh.
No,
You'll fill
like
me in
there's
later.
there's there's something tangible there. I'll say that.
Okay, you could fill me in
Yeah,
later.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's good for you guys. Good for Griff and Maddie, especially because they're the actual stars of that show.
Yeah, but I'm the engine, right? I upload, I edit, I upload, right? And technically I get paid the most because I am the producer as well,
I
on top of being the host,
wait, I'm sorry.
or
You
one
get
of the
paid more
hosts,
than Maddie and Griff? Like what? How do you
because
keep
I'm
landing ass backwards into these jobs? It's
it's
fucking
because
ridiculous.
it's
Maddie and
because
Griff are
I
out
am,
here spilling their guts, and Ty's just like, "Yep."
because they told us they could hire a producer for the show, or I could just act as the producer, and they're just paying me what they would pay the producer that they would have hired. So not only do I get my split of the host revenue, I also get producer revenue.
Ty just keeps falling ass backwards into these jobs. It's incredible. No talent, just right place, right time. Boom.
Or maybe you just don't recognize the talent.
Careful,
Maybe you're just
careful,
maybe you're
Ty.
just a bad talent evaluator.
That's been proven to not be true. Um,
Eh,
it is. I knew working with you was trouble, but you just kept on like, when are we doing the next Soto Mojo podcast? And I was like, Jesus Christ, take the hint. Um, and he just never did. Just oblivious Ty.
well, you just kept on doing it because I guess you're too scared to say no. So that's
I
on
am a
you,
people
pal.
pleaser. People know that.
Yeah. Well, in the end, I did get you fired from one job, but I also got you locked on. So, if I remember correctly,
Hmm.
I was contacted about hosting Locked On, and then I mentioned to the person that approached me about it, hey, I've been doing this podcast with this other guy. I would love to bring him
Hmm.
on. I didn't need to do that.
Yes,
Just
and
saying.
I also didn't need to put you in contact with Corbin to get you the Seahawks gig, which was your most profitable gig you've ever had.
It's
So
true.
bite me,
I'm
asshole.
Yeah.
How about
I
that?
don't miss the work from that, but I do miss the money.
Yeah,
I do
yeah.
I do really
I
miss
bet. I
I
bet.
really miss the money from that. Yes.
It's a shame the Mariners one couldn't work out because I really have no doubt that would have been successful if certain people would
Dude,
have gotten behind this.
with the way that Locked On is going, if I still had the Seahawks gig, dude,
Oh,
fuck. God, that puts me in so much pain. Thinking
just saying,
about
man. It really
anyway.
is too bad that the Mariners website thing didn't work out because I really feel like we would have crushed it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
yeah. Anyway.
we were already making inroads into that community. Um, before
Yeah.
the first thing, and then they just never resolved it. Anyways,
Yeah.
um,
What do you do for a living, Colby?
well, lots of things really. I'm an investor. I own like 6 shares of
Oh yeah, we still
AMC.
we still we
We still
still
own the
have a
GameStop.
GameStop.
Yeah. We should probably sell that because there's no way we're ever
What is
making
that
our money
even
back.
worth? What is that
I think
even
it's worth
worth at
like
this
80
point?
bucks now, and we paid like 102 for it. So
Well, didn't we get 3 out of it now? Like, didn't they
they split it.
whatever?
Yeah, they split
Yeah,
it,
they split
or
it. Yeah.
I don't know, I'll look it up. It's probably depressingly low now, but whatever. It was during the pandemic. We were just like, let's throw. We went halvesies on a 1 share of GameStop stock.
Yeah.
Um, no, it's about $82 right now.
Oh, we're rich.
Well, we paid 102, so yeah, stonks.
Yeah.
But no, so I do Locked On. Obviously, I do CTZ. Um, my newest YouTube channel is really taking off. We're already monetized there, so that's good. It's called The Deep Dive. If you guys want to check it out, psych. Uh, but no, and then I work 4 nights a week, usually, sometimes 5, at a grocery store. Cleaning, stocking shelves. What the not Instacart, but like whatever, right? You get stuff off the shelves and people come pick it up later.
Right.
Yeah, so I do that, which is nice because I get to watch the games on my phone, and people leave me alone because they know I don't care. So yeah, until January's paycheck came, I thought, hey, well, we're getting really close to the point where I can quit this job and just do, Locked On and CTZ full time for a couple months and see if we can really get it to grow even more, and I
Uh-huh.
could make that my full time job. Uh, January kind of scared me from that, but we'll see what's happening there. And then, yeah, I would like to do more content on my personal YouTube channel, but obviously it's pretty tough to do like baseball content on YouTube and get monetized, make money from it, just
Yeah.
because MLB will take any like the way you do it. Your clips have to be like less than 8 seconds, and you have to speed them up by like 6 or 7%, and you have to like crop the borders a certain way and blah blah blah. Like it's pretty labor intensive. So we'll see. But yeah, right for now I'm still holding on to my night job. The only real downside there is that I end up watching most of the second half of the Mariner games, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday on my phone. So
Hmm.
yeah, but that's what I do.
Yeah. And then you also do like some thrifting and stuff, right? Stuff like that, right?
Yeah, my mom has a thrifting business where she goes to garage sales and Goodwill and all that stuff, and finds old stuff and then sells it on eBay. You guys should check that out. We have some
Filthy
cool.
reseller.
Yeah. You guys should check that out, by the way, because we do have some pretty cool Mariner stuff that I find sometimes. So yeah, some cool old hats, stuff like that. So check that out. I'm not going to tell you to find it, but you can find it. Yeah, and I just kind of help her out with that. So that's kind of more of a hobby than a job, but for me at least.
Sure.
But yeah,
Cool.
so do quite a bit.
Yeah. And yeah, I do like a couple of other things here, like for just some money. Like I like vintage game stuff, but that's boring. I won't bore you with all that stuff. But yeah, and that's really small. That
Yeah.
isn't really a whole lot. But yeah,
So if you guys want to help us work these jobs as full-time jobs, head to patreon.com
yeah,
/ control the zone.
yeah, and then obviously just in terms of like time restrictions and all that stuff, like obviously like I got other stuff that I do around here as well, and and Colby obviously too has stuff that he has to get done. But
I'm still trying to convince Ty to do another podcast, but he just 12 shows is too much for him, apparently.
fuck, yeah,
Just saying,
yeah,
you guys can't tell me you wouldn't listen to
dude.
Colby and Ty's marvelous podcast or something.
Dude, my buddy Ryan has been trying to get me to do a game podcast with him for like a year now, and he's like, "Dude, we could do it on Saturday." I'm like, "Saturday is literally like the only day I have free, like where I don't have to do anything."
Hey, screw
Like
Ryan. You do it with Colby, your real best friend.
yeah, because you love video games.
I said the marvelous podcast, okay?
Whatever.
We could have had
Yeah.
like a full 3-hour debate on Ant-Man. We basically had a 30-minute debate on Ant-Man before the show, so
It wasn't even really a debate. It was more
it was
just
like a review
Jesus
more than anything.
Christ, that movie is ass.
I wouldn't say it's ass. I wouldn't say it's good. It's just kind of it's kind of like the other two Ant-Man. You're just
by the way, if you guys saw our tier list rankings of the Marvel movies, what was it, last week or a week before?
Couple weeks ago.
Week before last? Ago. Yeah. We did that on a live show. I had a tier called Ass Juice that only like 3 Marvel movies fit in. There's spoiler alert, there's gonna be a 4th.
That's way too harsh, but whatever. It's
whatever.
just like the other Ant-Man movie. It's just kind of there.
Yeah. I don't know. All right.
I thought it was better than Ty did. I'll say that.
Okay. What are your favorite prop bets? Award / over under win totals / World Series odds based off current lines of the market. We're not betting people. Like really, whenever we talk about betting stuff on Locked On, it's just because we are sponsored on Locked On by FanDuel. And because they want us to talk about, they want us to, inject some betting stuff into the show because of that. Or at least we're encouraged to do that. Right. So
and
I don't know it. I don't know shit about betting, and I've bet in the past before, and it's not gone well. So you don't want to listen to me on that shit. So
I'm just saying. By the way, for those people who love to every single episode, like, oh, how good, nice of you guys to read an ad that we can't use on. We don't pick the ads, guys.
Yeah, we don't pick the ads.
We don't write the copies that we read. None of that is us. Okay, so.
We read. You've never read.
Well, whatever. I just thought we were a we Ty, but maybe I'm wrong. So I can give you a couple that I like.
If we were a band, we would be called Ty and the Boy.
If we were a band, I would be Paul and you would be Ringo.
At least give me George.
No, you can have Ringo and like it.
God damn it.
Hey man, I mean, like, would you rather not be in the Beatles?
If I have to be Ringo?
Okay. So yeah, just looking at the list right now. Obviously I like George Kirby at plus 7,000 to win the Cy Young.
Yeah, we talked a lot about that.
Yeah, yesterday. Um, win totals are kind of hit or miss. I feel like I would take the under on Cleveland, the Guardians. They're at 86.5 right now. But I don't feel great about that. Uh,
Yeah.
the
They're such a
Angels,
weird team, man.
they
They're
are.
a really weird team because like I mean, they have one of the best managers in the game, and they obviously had a lot of success with all their young guys last year, but still not a great roster when I look at it. I'm just like,
Yeah. Um, Pittsburgh, I take the over on 67.5
yeah,
wins. I think they're probably like a 72 win team. Seattle is going off at 86.5. I'd probably take the over.
yeah.
Um, Tampa Bay's at 89.5. I'd probably take the over. Uh, you know, uh, MVP races. Um, I kind of looking at like what the odds are around right now. I'm always looking for value, right? Like I don't want to spend $5 to make one. I'd rather spend $10 to make 800. So that's kind of the gambler I would be if I could.
Yeah.
Um, but like in the National League, for example, like I can get for MVP, I can get Freddie Freeman at plus 1300. Uh, Manny Machado, Nolan Arenado are plus 1,000 each. Um, by the way, also at plus 1,000, Julio in the American League.
Ooh,
How about Jose Ramirez for MVP at plus 1,500?
wow.
That seems like really good value to me. Um, so yeah, I feel like there's a few. The one that really just jumps out at me though is obviously Kirby at +7. Really, any of the Mariners starters, because I think Castillo's going off at like six plus 1,600. So, you guys don't know that means if you bet 100, you win 1,600. Um, so yeah, I feel like that is kind of a good one. Kirby's at +7. I think Robbie Ray's actually at like +12, plus 1,200, which is weird that he's got the highest number, but yeah, I would bet on stuff like that. I do think the Mariners, since we are a Mariners podcast, the Mariners right now to win the World Series are at plus 1,800. I don't think that's bad.
I'm hammering that.
Yeah, like I think that's probably the best value bet on the board. Like
Yeah.
because I think they actually could win the World Series. St. Louis at plus 2,000 is pretty interesting there.
Yeah.
The Rays at plus 2,200, I think are pretty interesting. Um, and then I think that's probably about it. Like I said, I would really
Yeah.
have to do a deeper dive on these. But like, and obviously, the prop bets really aren't out quite yet on fan. Like, there's some on FanDuel, but like, I would like to bet on things like who's going to have the number one pick in 2024 and stuff like that. But that's a lottery now and blah blah blah. So
Yeah. All right.
best regular season record. Do you want to guess who the favorite is to have the best regular season record, Ty?
Mets,
Nope.
Dodgers,
Yep.
Astros.
Dodgers. Believe it or not.
After the offseason they had compared
Yeah.
to the Mets.
The
Ugh.
Dodgers are at plus 480, right? For comparison's sake, the Mariners were at plus 4,200, which is the same as the Twins and just one spot ahead of the Angels. So there you go. Oh, wait. I think I have one more. Let me just see what their odds are to tell you if I would
All right.
be interested in that. Let's see. Yeah, I'd probably do that. To make the playoffs,
Mhm.
Miami is plus 4,200.
Yeah.
Again, it's, I'm throwing down $10 to make 42.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I would never advise you guys to throw down 100 plus bucks on something that I think might happen. But like me personally, would I throw down $50 on Kirby at 7,000 to 1? Yeah, $50 to make 3,500. And I think there's a real shot Kirby can win the Cy Young. Yeah, I would make that type of bet.
All right, so got another question here from Casey, who's from Iowa. Well,
Ooh,
shout out to
ooh,
Iowa.
Coralville.
Um, Coralville, yeah. What do you think the chances are that Isaiah Campbell breaks camp with the big club as the last man in the pen? Not great, even though that, I've said this multiple times. I think Isaiah Campbell's going to be a pretty big part of this bullpen by season's end. Um, I don't know. I don't see a path for him to break camp with the team unless guys get hurt. I think if there's someone that might, because like the bullpen is pretty much chalk at this point.
Yeah.
I think they're going to still I mean, there's probably like one spot, maybe two spots up for grabs, depending on, and I mean that's really dependent on if you know Flexen or Marco gets traded as well. Because if
Right.
not, then Flexen is going to
He's in the
be
pen.
he's going to fill one of those spots.
Right.
Um, and then the other one is probably going to go to Topa or Gabe Spire or one of these guys
Right.
that
Well, I
they've
mean,
added this offseason. But Campbell's on the 40 man, right?
yep. Yep.
So
And
that's
so is
easy for them
Spire.
to do, and so Spire,
So is
but
Topa.
yeah, but I think it's going to be one of those guys that they added this offseason that they that have actually pitched at the major league level that they're going to
Hmm.
try and see first before they go to Campbell. The one guy that I think could sneak his way in here though, Perlander Baroa, because they're just talking about him so much right now, but
I
also I need to see it.
Yeah.
So
I don't trust Perlander Baroa to throw strikes.
yeah,
So as good as the stuff is, I until I see it in AAA with, you know, no risk to my chances to make the playoffs, I would have a hard time trusting him. But if we assume no injuries, which is always, a pretty big assumption, but less so when we're talking about bullpen arms. Um, we assume relative health here in the bullpen. We know that Brash, Munoz, Seawald are definitely going to make it. Castillo, unless he gets traded, is definitely going to make it. And then you're talking about Festa, Murphy, Flexen, right? There's 7.
yeah,
We know they're going to carry 8.
yeah,
So that leaves, am I missing somebody? Oh, God. God is 8. So
got
there you go.
yeah, yeah,
So it's possible that God, doesn't impress and it was only $1,000,000. So they could DFA him pretty easy.
yeah, or maybe Festa gets traded or Murphy gets traded or
Right.
whatever
Festa
things like that could
Festa's
happen.
out of options, but Murphy has a couple options left. So if somebody just outpitches Penn Murphy, I mean, you
Right.
can make that swap. But yeah, and we know that Marco is going to be the number 5 starter. Jerry all but confirmed it to us.
Did you see that he's added a slider, Colby?
Yeah, yeah. Everybody's adding pitches. Um,
Why is that a thing this year? By the way, the splitter is not just a Mariners thing. I've seen multiple pitchers now across the league that are like, oh yeah, I've added a splitter this offseason. And it's mostly driveline guys, like guys that went to driveline this offseason. So I think that's just like a driveline thing. Like driveline really wants their guys to learn a splitter.
maybe, but it's worth noting that Logan Gilbert didn't learn the splitter at Driveline.
But did he not?
He
Where did
was
he
at
learn
a
it from?
it's like a Driveline. I don't want to say knockoff, but it's like a Driveline like facility in Florida, I believe.
Oh,
Um, but yeah, I think the splitter is just kind of a. I think it's like the splitter is just different, right, than most other pitches because you throw it out of the same arm slot as the fastball.
mm-hmm.
Um, and there's no like torque to the wrist or anything. You don't have to turn the ball over, right? You're just kind of cutting the baseball in half and you're just kind of letting it come out of your hand naturally as you would. You're just trying not to put any
Mm-hmm.
side spin on it with your finger pressure. And so it looks like a fast or it comes out of the same angle as the fastball. It's same arm speed as the fastball, and then it just kind of falls off the table because it's not spinning, as much. So it tumbles towards home. So it's not an easy pitch to learn, but it's not one that if you if you're 28 years old and you've never thrown a curveball in your life, good luck. You know what I mean? Like good
Right.
luck trying to figure that out. But if you've never thrown a splitter, we could see if you can do it. right? And it's a pitch that you can work on quite a bit without putting extra torque on the wrist, the elbow, the shoulder. But it's not a pitch that's without health concerns, right? I think it's a pretty tough pitch on the elbow, if I'm remembering correctly. So we'll see. But yeah, it's not new, right? That the league kind of falls in love with a pitch because it was like what 10 years ago that the slider, like
Yeah.
everybody and their mother had a slider. So yeah, it just kind of rolls around. I'm waiting for the return of the knuckleball personally, but
Yeah, we need
yeah,
a. Yeah, I remember when Robbie was teasing his new pitch the other day.
yeah,
Before Jerry spoiled it like an hour later for everyone.
right,
I
right.
still find that really funny how Robbie was like, "Yeah, I'm not going to tell you guys," and then Jerry goes on the radio
It's
like
a
an hour
splitter.
later. He's like, "Yeah, it's a splitter." So, but yeah, people were like, "I hope Robbie's learning a knuckleball." That would have been awesome.
Yeah, I still think
Lefty
like
knuckleball.
because like
Yeah,
every pitcher in Major League Baseball, they joke around with a knuckleball when they're warming up. Like
yeah.
they should just throw it like once per game. Like
Just see
Marco
what
should throw his
happens.
knuckleball once in a game just to be like, "What the hell was that?" And just once, like never even
just
again. Just
just go full Grinky, like pull out a Nephis out of,
yeah,
out of
yeah, just out of
nowhere.
nowhere. Yeah, but in the event that there is an injury or one of those guys gets traded, to get back to the question, it sure sounded to us. I think Ty, you would agree that Depoto's next guy up would probably be Topa.
Yeah, Topa's the guy. Topa, like even Gary Hill during our interview was
Yeah,
like, I really want to watch Justin Topa because like Jerry keeps on talking about him.
right. Like so, Jerry clearly enamored with Topa. Um,
Well, and the fact that remember when he told us they tried to trade for him during when
2019,
they
the
traded
Omar
Narvaez
Narvaez. Yeah,
when they traded Narvaez they tried to get him for Narvaez. So
yeah. So again, Jerry circles back.
yeah,
So yeah, Jerry
jeez.
loves to circle. Jerry never loses a guy to like another team. He just doesn't acquire him yet. That's how it works in Jerry's
Yeah,
head. So um yeah,
Brian
Topa's
Reynolds is
probably
gonna be
next guy
so
up.
a Mariner.
Yeah. Yeah. Topa's probably next guy up and then I think Campbell might be right behind Topa, but Spire's also going to be up there. He's also on the 40 man and he's Josh Hader
I like
Jr.
Spire. I like Spire. Uh, he's
Yeah.
interesting. I'm gonna be watching him a little bit this spring
Yeah.
if I have a chance to. Right, because
Sure. Yeah,
Root
we'll see.
Sports is only carrying 9 of the 30
Right.
games that they're
And you're
playing.
only going to one of them. And
Yeah.
funnily enough, I'm going on the 1 week where they're showing like every game of the week on TV. So like, yeah, sure, thanks
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, by the way, Ty, you created something that people can use, right?
Yeah. So last year I did this, and I'm doing it again. I put together a little schedule on Google Spreadsheets that shows you which Mariners games are on Root, which games are on MLB TV, and which games are on national TV. There's only one national game, and that game is also on, I think, Root or maybe
Yeah,
just MLB TV with the White Sox broadcast. But yeah, so but yeah, you can find that on my Twitter. Actually, I'll link it. I'll link it in the
sure.
description.
Don't
But
forget, man, you got to send me all this audio so I can put it up on Spotify and YouTube. So
yeah,
after you
yeah,
edit
yeah,
it, you're
yeah,
not done. But yeah,
yeah,
which by the way, maybe you guys haven't heard when you're listening to this. We thought the first Mariner game that was going to be televised was going to be on Saturday. And of course, Ty and
yeah.
I are thrilled to do the watch along with that. I just told him about it. But apparently, Friday's game against the Padres is now being broadcast by Bally Sports San Diego, which means it will be available on MLB TV. So Friday, you can watch the
Nice.
opener. Um, you can see, you can see like Cade Marlowe get one at bat before they put Jose Caballero in there. So
Trent Tinglestad.
yeah, Jack Larson. So
Yeah.
yeah. Anyways, so Friday's game is actually available if you have the means, i.e., MLB
MLB
TV or
TV. Yeah.
some other workaround. Wink, wink.
I don't know. Do they do that for spring? Other workarounds? Do they
I
do
would
that for
hope
spring
not,
games?
but I feel like they do because they're greedy. Like MLB is so greedy that they would black out that game.
No. But what I mean is like, are there like, is there a way to watch it
Yeah.
on not MLB TV
Well, with
during
the
spring game?
workaround. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what they
Um.
are, of course, but
Of
yeah.
course.
They're wink,
Yeah.
wink.
Yeah. Wink. Yeah.
Every time I do the wink
Uh.
thing, I think of Rafi from the league.
Oh yeah.
Winking. You're not winking. You're just closing your eye.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're
You're just saying
wink.
wink.
Yeah. No, you
Yeah.
actually have to. It's one eye, Rafi. You just gotta, and he's doing both eyes. Yeah, no, it's wink, eyes closed.
Wink.
Okay, whatever. Anyways, yeah. So Campbell is probably on the short list to come up first out of those guys. Um, but I think he's probably second man out. I think Topa's probably ahead of him, and then I think Spire and him are kind of battling. And side note here, final note on this. How about Brennan Bernardino surviving the entire offseason on the 40 man? Good
Dude,
for you, Brennan.
how the fuck did that
Good
happen?
for you.
Yeah, good for Brendan Bernardino.
Yeah.
Shout out.
I mean, holy cow. Oh, and I forgot Saucy is also on the 40 man, so he's got to be factored
Saucy.
in as well.
Taylor Saucedo.
Yep.
All right. Next question that we got here. How many more do you want to do, by the way?
I don't know. Let's just vibe it.
All right. Hey guys, big fan of the show. Do you guys believe
Liar.
Pete Carroll already has his successor in place? Do you guys believe John Schneider will stay with the org after Pete retires?
Yes.
To answer the first part of the question, no.
Nope.
Yeah, I don't think Clint Hurt or Shane Waldron
I hope not.
or those guys, or like anyone else.
They're not him.
Yeah, like I don't think like Nate Carroll is as much as Pete Carroll loves nepotism. I don't think that he loves it that much.
No, John Schneider's not going to stick around if he doesn't get to pick Pete's successor. So, no.
Yeah. Schneider's sticking around. I don't know.
Yes,
I really don't know.
I think Schneider's here for the long haul.
But what if the Packers job opens up?
He's had 2 opportunities to take the Packers job, and he's turned it down both times.
But if Pete's gone, maybe it's different.
Why? Because John finally gets to call the shots by himself?
I'm just saying that maybe
John
he feels like that's the end of an era. Maybe I should go get a fresh start.
John has laid down roots here. His family is here. His organization is here. It's like, and by the way, not for nothing, the Seattle job is better than the Green Bay job. It is. It's just a better job. So, no. Why would he take a downgrade? That'd be like Goldsmith going to St. Louis. Nope, not happening. John's going to be here until he retires, and he will pick the next head coach. And by the way, the next head coach will 100% be a Harbaugh. Like we just got to do a full 180. We're going from Pete to Harbaugh. There you go.
It'd be hilarious if they were like Jim Harbaugh is the successor for Pete Carroll. Honestly, I'm down though. I like Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know. I think Pete's probably got 2-3 years left. Whatever's left on this contract, and then I think he's done. I think it's 3 years now or 4. I know it's a long ways off, but like I'd be totally cool if Dan Quinn was the next head coach.
Yeah.
No, I'm fine with that. Just don't go get like Mike McCarthy or somebody like that. Ugh.
Yeah, no.
Jesus. Like if you're gonna go get an old school, like been around the block head coach before, like why is Jim Caldwell? Yeah, why is that dude not getting jobs? He won a Super Bowl, right? Or he went to one with the Colts.
With the Colts, yeah.
He got the Lions to 9-7 twice, and they fired him.
Yeah.
Like what are we doing? Somebody hired Jim Caldwell already.
Yeah. What did he did take a job recently, but what did he ended up? Was it Carolina?
That reminds me, or Brian Flores.
Yeah, I don't know. I've heard some like I've been watching these podcasts with players, and some of them don't speak very highly about Brian Flores.
Interesting.
Jim Caldwell just got a job as a senior assistant for the Panthers.
Okay. Well, yeah, he said apparently he also said he's done with NFL head coaching jobs, so he's done being used as like the Rooney Rule candidate.
Right.
which I get. Plus, he's 68 years old.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, Jim Caldwell got screwed, by the way.
Mm-hmm. All right. Last year, Jared Kelenic had a pretty good barrel rate per batted ball events, 13.6%, which is higher than Julio. Barrel per plate appearance percentage, which is 7.7%, higher than Paul Goldschmidt. Does this mean anything promising? Note both of these are minimum 100 batted ball events.
Not a thing.
Yeah, I don't like the issue for him is not, finding barrels. It's just
Nope.
not finding barrels with consistency. It's like everything else that's like not a barrel for him is just really fucking bad. So
We talked about this yesterday. Everything that's not a barrel
Yeah.
for him is usually either a strikeout or an infield fly ball.
yeah,
And that's the ball game because the batting average on both of those things is as close. Well, on strikeouts, it is 0, obviously. And on infield fly balls, it's like 10. Not 100, 10. So
yeah,
1 out of 100 balls will drop for a hit when you hit it in the air in the infield.
yeah,
So yeah, I mean those two results right there indicates everything good he's doing with the barrel percentage.
yeah,
Like if Jared Kelenic, we talked about this yesterday. Kelnic's pop-up rate was twice as high as league average. If he
yeah.
flips that down to league average and like even if all of those pop-ups just become ground balls, like not even line drive, just ground balls, his batting average will go up like somewhat significantly because ground balls are significantly higher batting
Because
average.
of the shift restrictions, of course, Colby.
No,
Yeah, we talked
got
about
into
that
it.
yesterday
Yeah,
on Locked On.
somebody on Twitter was really mad. And I was like, no, the shift restrictions aren't going to save Jared Kelenic. He goes, yes, they are because I watched Jared Kelenic hit and I know how many times he hit the ball. And I was like, okay, based on what? He goes, my eyes.
He's thinking about the 5 times. He's thinking about the 5 times that he hit like a rope right to the first baseman. That's it. That's what's sticking into
Right.
that. It's sticking in
Like,
that guy's mind.
by the way, like the first baseman's not going to be standing there. Even like
Yeah.
the first baseman stood in the same spot in the shift that he had for the last 100 years. So what are you talking about? Yeah, the shift will not save Jared Kelenic. We talked about this yesterday. It will help, but even if the shift helps in ways that we can even possibly comprehend, Jared Kelenick's batting average goes up 40 points. He's still a $180 hitter. Like, what are we doing, guys?
Oh, by the way, I was looking at our comments again on YouTube, and the comment that I was talking about earlier on in the show where he was like, "I can't believe that you're actually not a Mariners fan and just in it for the money." He called me Ty Tye. Spell my name Tye, which is funny because my buddy Ryan's mom does that too, and like he's had to correct her so many times. He's like, "No, it's just Ty," and she's like, "Oh, okay." So anyway, so you're hanging out with Tye today? Like, or like she'll give us like she'll give Caroline and I. Caroline's my wife. For those that don't know, she'll give Caroline and I like a Christmas card or whatever, and it'll just say, "Hi, Caroline and Tye." It's like, dude, come on, like, whatever. I don't get why people
I just,
spell it like that.
yeah.
Why?
Yeah, somebody who was constantly called Kobe
Kobe,
or
yeah,
Cody
yeah.
or a handful of times Colton, which like not even close. Come on. You saw
Oh,
Cia.
did you see the email we got a few days ago on the
No.
Locked On account that where the guy was like he called you Colin over and over again?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, he was like he was like, you guys like sound like you genuinely hate each other. He's like, Ty and Colin are just like they have I don't know. He was just ripping into us.
Yeah.
It was about the whole like I don't care bit.
Yeah.
He
No,
did not like that at
it's
all.
funny the number of people, and I say it happens like once every couple shows, so it's pretty regularly. Somebody will always comment, be like, you guys think that stuff's funny, but it's not. Nobody likes it. And it's like, that's interesting because we literally have all these people over here saying the exact opposite.
Yeah, there's like literally people that are like, "Oh yeah, I love the I don't care thing." They're like,
Yeah,
there was some people that were like, "Oh yeah, that was awesome, Ty," or like some that are like, "No, Ty, you
nah,
can't do it
dog.
as good as
Yeah,
Colby or whatever." Like yeah, like people love that.
it's a
Yeah,
bit, right? And
yeah.
and like some people are just they're so mad that we're like having fun. while talking about baseball.
Well,
Like,
I don't think that people get that you and I essentially act like brothers with one another. Like
more or
we pick
less,
at each
yeah.
other. We pick at each other all
Yeah.
the time. Like, you know, and like you more so, like you'll try to pick at me and I'm just like, shut up. You know, and I'm like,
Ty
let's just
sometimes
move on.
doesn't have time for my bullshit, but
Yeah, just sometimes I'm just like, okay, just fuck off. So, you know, let's get on into the next subject.
and all that
But like,
does is encourage me to keep poking.
exactly, right? But and you know, but that's what makes us work. That's what makes
Yeah.
the dynamic work. If we got rid of that, our show would not be as
No.
entertaining.
It would be
We would not.
sterile as all hell. Like,
Yeah. That's what honestly like loosens us up is to like do shit like that, right? It kind of takes away the whole like, oh yeah, we're on camera and we're having to do a show type of thing. And then it like when we do that, when one of us like cracks a joke or like, you know, makes fun of the other or whatever, like that just kind of gets rid of that. And it's just us talking. It's just us like shooting the shit. And so,
yeah. Never gonna change. So if you guys don't like that part, you should probably stop listening. Or
but
let it go.
also, no, we don't actually hate each other. Like well,
Only
we've
when we
been
talk
podcast.
Toby.
Yeah, I hate you when you say that. Yeah,
Fucking loser.
you piece of shit.
And there goes the YouTube monetization.
Yeah. Yeah. So we also make that joke a lot. Even though that we've literally played like licensed music on our streams multiple times. Yeah. We should do that again, by the way. That seems like it gets really unhinged
No.
on the show when we play music.
I'm not turning CTZ Fridays into a music podcast hour.
New
Ty.
Music Fridays.
Yeah, not doing that.
I do, dude. That's the thing, man. That's the
Once in
thing
a
that I hate
while.
about. That's the thing that I hate about like the fact that I am doing like, you know, at max 11 shows a week between Overload, CTZ, and Locked On. Is like I would love to do a music podcast. Fucking would love that. I have no energy to do that. I don't want to like. I am by the time that we do like by the time that we get to today, usually like Wednesday, and Wednesdays are usually my busiest day because it's not only are we doing Locked On, we're also doing CTZ, and I do Overload on Wednesday nights. We had to move our Overload to Saturday though. Maddie and I, our little news roundup that we do this week, but yeah, usually by that point I'm like I'm over it. I don't want to talk into a microphone. I don't want to be on camera right now. I don't want to do it. I'm just fucking over it. Like but yeah. Dude, I would love to do a music podcast, but I can't.
Well, again, Ty, we can do the marvelous Colby and Ty's marvelous podcast, and I give you 10 minutes to talk about music. Yeah, it's pretty good.
I thought the point of it being a marvelous podcast is that we only talk Marvel.
We talk about, well, the point of CTZ was only to talk about Seattle sports, and we we talk about Marvel and stuff all the time on it. So
True.
yeah.
I mean, CTZ is just us, right? Even though that the account, the actual CTZ account is just you, but like
It's really
it's
Colby
us.
and Ty zone.
The Colby and Ty zone, yeah. That's the thing too. Like I didn't realize until like way after we did CTZ that I was like, oh yeah, both of our initials are in here.
Yeah.
That works.
I totally
Right,
knew
cool.
that from the beginning.
Totally.
And I also knew that mine was
we
like an important word, and your initial is just the.
right. Yeah. Yeah, but
Control Colby.
I'm the
Got it.
crutch. You can't
That's
have
true.
the English language without the word the.
Although it is overused, but yes.
Sure. All right. We got 2 more questions here. Do you just want to do the rest of these?
Sure, might as well. Did we even answer the last question?
The barrel one? I mean, does it mean anything promising? Like it shows that like when he actually gets the barrel on the ball, or like that he can get the barrel on the ball, and then typically when he does get the barrel on the ball, it leads to success naturally. But it's just everything else is so bad that it really ultimately makes it irrelevant at the end of the day. So he's got to find more success with things that are just not barrels, right? Because like
Yeah. You can't
like
hit
he's got to be able to like
on all balls
he's
that aren't barrels.
you know I hate to be cliche about it, right? But like we need better pieces of hitting out of Jared moving
Right.
forward.
And
You
again,
know?
it's not, I think people hear pieces of hitting, like that's a good piece or whatever, and they automatically
Yeah.
assume like, oh, he just flipped the ball into the opposite field for a base hit. Like that's a common, like when somebody does it, you're like, oh, that's a good piece of hitting. Took the fastball in the outside corner, hit it to
Yeah.
left field, right, for Kelnick.
Yeah.
That's
Which
not
he
an
does
issue.
need to do.
Right. That's not
You
an
know?
issue with Kelnick. Kelnick goes up the middle and the other way all the time.
Yeah.
He is not a dead pull hitter. Not when the
Yeah.
ball's on the line or in the air, right? So it's not about that. It's about getting that cookie fastball and not popping it up to the catcher.
Yeah.
It's instead, or it's getting that middle and fastball and finding a way to, at the very least, fight it off into the outfield for a base hit instead of just, you're sitting breaking ball and it's 97 on the inside corner, but you're strong enough to break your bat and kind of flip it into left field for a hit. We need to see stuff like that. That's a good piece of hitting.
Yeah.
But I remember last year, aside from the strikeouts, Kelnick just getting cookie after cookie and just popping them up or missing them entirely.
Yeah.
So he can't do that. He has to.
Well, it's just the bat speed when he has to elevate.
Oh, he can't
Again,
touch up
I'm not
velocity up.
I'm not a swing doctor, so I'm probably not going to use the correct terms here. But when he essentially gets the bat over his shoulders, when he has to lift the bat over his shoulders, essentially like eye level or anything like that, the bat speed is gone. Like it's like
Right.
it's toast. Like he can't catch up to anything that's in
Right.
the top of the zone. So
Right. Anything elbows or higher, he's going to struggle to hit. And um, he did all last year. So it's pretty much, you can't hit a fastball unless it's, belt or lower. And you can't hit a breaking ball no matter where it's thrown. Look at the numbers last year. He had 3 hits on breaking balls last year, one for extra bases. I think he slugged 074 on the breaking ball and he hit like 058 or something like that. So, yeah, if you can't handle those two pitches, a fastball up and a breaking ball, you're screwed. So you have to be able to cover more of the plate. So yeah, when we watch Kelnick hit and he's having a good day, it's eye popping because he can't hit the ball as hard as anybody. He can hit the ball, as far as anybody. And when he's on, he looks like an all star, just like visually. It's just not happening enough. He has to be more consistent with that, which means he has to cover more of the plate. And we'll see. We'll get to see his new swing. He's probably going to get quite a few at bats here in spring training. Um, Not that I'll be able to tell you guys what he's doing differently, unless it's like so obvious that anybody could see. But it'll be still be valuable because people that Ty and I talk to who we trust on this sort of thing, like they'll see it and they'll
right,
be able to let us know, like, yeah, he's doing this and this is why it has a chance to work. This is why it doesn't.
right,
So yeah,
right.
it's not nothing, but I wouldn't say it's encouraging. If he, if the rest of the batted ball data, like the
It
non-barrels,
yeah,
are
yeah.
still bad.
Yeah, like it's that part is great, obviously,
Mhm.
but it's not enough to make him a good
Right.
player,
Like,
clearly.
yeah, let me just wrap up that one like this because I think we actually have 4 questions left, but a couple of them are similarish.
Wait, do we?
Yeah, we
Mm,
have Arb and Teo, and then we have Teo and
yeah.
Wong's offensive numbers at T-Mobile. Evan White,
Oh, right, right. There's the
right?
multiple questions within one. Yeah,
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Okay. Um,
right.
but anyways, right? Ty France doesn't collect barrels, right? He's not a high barrel hitter. Jared Kelnick is, percentage wise.
Mm,
Who would you rather be? Who would you rather have at the plate? Ty France
yeah,
or Jared Kelnick?
right.
Right? It's not
What is the main difference between those two players? One of them produces at an all-star
right.
level. The other one
Is one of
is
the
on
worst
the
hitters in
fringe.
baseball.
Yeah, he's literally on the fringe of MLB
Relevance?
irrelevancy.
Yeah.
you know.
So yeah, it's not always just about barrels. Sometimes you have to do other things well,
Yeah.
and Kelnick can get there. I still believe in Jared Kelnick, but just in a vacuum, the barrel percentage thing means very little to me. It's better
Right.
than having none, but
Right.
it doesn't mean much.
Right. All right. Next question. As someone who is very pessimistic about us getting Ohtani next year and believes the Mariners will not engage in a bidding war, is there any realism to fans who believe the Mariners will genuinely acquire Ohtani? I think they're going to be involved.
Yes.
I don't think that they're going to end up paying the $60 million a year that it's probably going to end up taking to sign him.
Right.
But it's going to take a very creative contract to land Ohtani. Whenever whoever gives him the contract, it's going to be very creative. And who's the most creative general manager, well, baseball executive now
Right.
in baseball? Jerry Dipoto. So
Right. Also, who circles back on guys that he misses more than any
yeah,
general manager in baseball?
yeah.
Jerry. Right.
And I
And
mean that's the one, and that you got to imagine that that's the one that hurts him the most.
oh,
Still to this
absolutely.
day.
Like
Yeah,
I feel like people forget because they want to forget, because it was really painful when it happened.
yeah.
Um, the Mariners were by far the most aggressive team on Otani, like
It should
without
have happened.
question.
It should have
It should
happened.
like we Buster only was like, "Oh yeah, it's gonna happen," and like they're trading prospects for international signing money, and like they have more
Yeah,
money to off. They basically punted their international draft class that year. We have
fuck.
all this
Yeah,
money to spend, and like we're trading for D Gordon, but we also got $1 million in international free agent money. Like we really want this guy, and they gave him the most money, and they gave him everything that he wanted essentially. But at the end of the day, Otani wanted to forge his own path. He didn't want to follow in the footsteps of Ichiro, right?
yeah,
That's what we were told, and that's kind of what um, Otani more or less, admitted. He wanted to be Ichiro for another organization, and to this day, I stand by this. He regrets that decision. I know Angel fans get mad when I say things like that, but it's true. There is 0% chance that Shohei Otani looks back at what the decision he made 6 years ago and goes, "Yep, I was right to pick the Angels over the Mariners." 0%.
yeah.
Now, does that mean he's going to pick the Mariners this time around? No, not at
I mean,
all.
they got to be very aggressive on him.
Right. And I think they're going to be fairly aggressive on him, but this is one of those things where I think they're aggressive and they just lose because I look at the teams that they have to beat. We're talking about San Francisco. We're talking
Yep,
about the Dodgers.
yep.
We're probably talking about the Mets,
Maybe.
probably the Yankees. But here's the deal, right? Otani said no to the Yankees already, and it had nothing. It was just he didn't want to be in New York.
Yeah, on the Mets, I mean, like it's one thing that they were willing to go over the luxury tax for Correa, but Correa was like a $30 million guy, whereas Otani is double that. That's like signing two Correas potentially.
Right. And then the Padres kind of have their own financial flexibility issues with Soto coming up.
Yeah.
Um, but I still expect them to be in. Honestly, like
Oh yeah,
if I
that's
were
right.
guessing,
They haven't signed Soto. I just
no.
realized that.
And
Shit.
Machado's going to opt out. They have going to
Right.
try really hard to re-up him. Um, and obviously, even the guys who like Cronenworth, that they're going to start making a lot of money in ARB. Some of their
Yeah.
pitchers are going to start making quite a bit of money in ARB. So they're
Blake
up
Snell's a
against it.
free agent.
Right, and I assume they just let him walk, and they just gave Yu Darvish that extension for some reason.
Yeah, they gave
Um,
Musgrove an extension a few
yeah,
months ago. Yeah.
right. So we'll see. If I was betting, like on where Otani goes next, I would probably say the Dodgers.
I'm
You
gonna
kind of
say
say that.
I think it's San Francisco.
Yeah, that wouldn't shock me either. Um, I'll say the Dodgers, but I think San Francisco is probably second. I think Seattle is like top 6 or 7. Um,
I think
and
they're top
for some
four.
reason, okay, yeah, I could totally buy that. Sure. For
Yeah.
some reason, I feel like John Stanton might actually write the check for Ohtani that he wouldn't write for anybody else. I don't know
Well,
why.
dude,
Like, I have no reason to believe that.
think about the money that he'll rake in though on Otani. Like,
Right, and it's a good way to kinda, like, dispel the whole, like, "Oh, the Mariners are cheap thing forever." Right? You give it like,
yeah.
because to get
Well,
Ohtani.
I don't think he gives a fuck about that, to be quite honest with you.
No, 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 he doesn't,
But
but
like the
it's a
money that he'll
bonus.
make from the Japanese networks and the Japanese
Right,
sponsors, like think about all the Japanese sponsors that the Angels
right,
have right now.
right, and
Like,
the Mariners, I think somebody said that the Mariners had expressed a desire to keep the Japanese player tradition in Seattle alive. And the last 2 years were they were right. Last year was the first year that the Mariners didn't have a Japanese born player on their roster since like
Yeah.
95.
Yeah.
Um, so it's clearly a market they want to go back into, right? We know they love Ohtani. Who doesn't? But we knew they loved him coming over as well. We know that they were as aggressive as they could be when he picked the Angels. And we have indications that the Mariners are going to be somewhat aggressive this time around too. So I don't
Well,
think
yeah.
it's going to
I
be a
mean, you look at the offseason that they just had. A lot of
yeah,
1-year deals.
sure.
Didn't commit much money, and
Yeah,
they
but
are
money's going to
and they
kick
are
in.
yeah, yeah. Money's going to kick it. Obviously, we've talked about the whole crest thing and all
Well,
that.
I mean, Castillo's money's going to kick in. Julio's money's going to kick in. You're going to have to pay
Yeah,
Kirby in
yeah,
the
you're
next
gonna have
few
to pay
years.
Kirby and Gilbert and Raleigh and all these
Raleigh.
guys. Maybe even Ty France.
Yeah,
Gino Suarez's deal is going to be up around that 2025 period as well.
right.
So
But we're
yeah, so
talking about like it's hard for me to imagine that Otani gets less than $50 million a year. And honestly, he probably should get closer to 60. If the
yeah,
Mariners want to run like $180 million payroll and, they're already paying Julio. Now, granted, Julio's AAV is not large. But
no.
still, you're talking about giving up
But it's
basically
a it's
half.
a it's an extra. It's an additional like 18 to $20 million that's going to kick in. Like
Right.
that's
You're
not nothing.
between Castillo, Ray, Julio, and Otani. That is like 65-70% of your total budget that they've run in the past. Now they could expand their budget, but based on what they've spent in the past, like you're talking about pretty much all of it going to 4 players. That's not something Jerry's ever wanted to do. So to me,
I
the
mean, because that's
structure,
what he inherited. When he got
well, that's what he
when
was
he
kind
got
of
here.
forced to do. Right. He
Yeah.
was forced to do it in Anaheim too. And then he got here, and that's kind of with the Macho Quattro or whatever they called him. Like it took him a few years to get around that. So yeah. Um, I would
Yeah.
say I am also pessimistic that they can sign Ohtani. Um, and I think there's a legitimate case to be made that they shouldn't. Based on what we think the contract's going to be, based on how many are you going to sign Ohtani if you know in the long run it's going to cost you Kirby and Raleigh and Gilbert? Because it probably is.
Well, it's gonna have to be so.
The structure of the
Uh,
deal is going to have to be so
there's gonna have to be so many incentives based on
right, and there's going to
him
have to
being
be
a two-way player.
opt out. Like if it was just giving Otani, 10 and 400, like fine, whatever.
Yeah.
I really think we're looking at like 8 and 450, 10 and 580, something insane like that.
Well, and again, like it's got to be just so incentive heavy because no team really, unless like the Giants who do have a lot of money to spend, just say fuck it, we don't care if you end
Right.
up only doing one thing.
Right.
But
Because
like I feel like no team is really going to be like, yeah, we're just going to pay you whatever. And like if you stop pitching in 3 years, who cares? Like I don't
right.
think any team is going to do that.
No, no, no. Because Otani the bat is probably worth about $20 million a year.
Yeah,
It's probably about it.
yeah,
Because he's DH only, right? He's a good hitter, a really good hitter. But like, I feel like people are like, oh my God, he's like 300, 400, 800. And it's like, no, he's like
no, no.
260, you know, 380, 500.
Really good hitter, not an elite hitter.
No, he's like a one. I don't know what his actual WRC plus is, but whatever, right? He's about a 20 because he
He,
doesn't play a position.
yeah,
And because he's probably a 20 to $25 million a year hitter.
yeah,
He's probably a $30 million a year pitcher.
right,
So if you're Ohtani, what you're saying is, okay, combine those, and that's the starting point. But if you can't
right.
pitch or you decide you have to give up hitting, right? Ohtani, the pitcher by himself, is probably worth, based on his injury history, his age, the wear and tear on his arm already. He's going to be 29 when he hits free agency. I would say Ohtani, the pitcher, he's probably worth what do you think, like 7 and 250, like somewhere in that range, just based on current market prices. Well, if you're paying that much for Otani to be a pitcher, right, and he's not pitching, the bat's not going to make up for that. So like, yeah, I. How do you think teams will structure that?
Again, I think it's like I
Ty, you
think
there?
the first few
Oh, there you
years
are.
will be just guaranteed straight up. Yeah, yeah. Can you hear me? Yeah. There's a windstorm happening
No, we're on a
outside,
delay.
so our connection might be a little messy at this point. But yeah, I think teams really like. I think the first few years will be just straight up guaranteed, right? Because like I think if you're a team, you feel pretty good about him doing both for at least the first couple of years of that deal. But once you get into like year 4, year 5, I think it's going to be very incentive based, and maybe there's an opt out after the first 3 years. Like first 3 years fully guaranteed, opt out right after, and then and then everything else from that point forward is incentives based on being a two-way
Yeah,
player. So, and the way that you would do that is like essentially innings pitched or at bats, plate appearances, I guess. And then
yeah,
there's probably going to
probably.
be, and then there's probably going to be MVP bonuses, World Series bonuses, all that stuff, or not bonuses, but incentives. So,
Yeah, I'd imagine something like that.
so yeah, so like if I'm the Mariners, right? Um, let's just forget the money for a second. Let's just talk about how the structure would be. Again, probably go. I mean, like if you have to outbid, because I'm going to assume that's a pretty similar structure to what the Dodgers and the Giants, et cetera, are going to offer. So if you got to outbid them, I think you got to go first 4 years guaranteed with maybe an opt out after year 3. And that's a player opt, like that's he can opt out. And then incentives from year 5 to year 8 or 10 or however long the rest of the duration of the contract is.
Yeah. So, are we on a delay? Let me know when you hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Oh, okay,
I can,
okay, good. I thought we were
yeah,
on
yeah.
a
We're I
delay for
think
a second.
no, I think we're good now. I think we're good.
Okay. So yeah, so like hypothetically, if you're Jerry, right, you do like 4 and 200 fully guaranteed, and then like a player option, right? So you can opt out, head back into free
Yep.
agency, and then like year year 5 is like if you make if you make 25 starts and you get like 400 plate appearances, it's like another 50 million, right? And you just kind of do that, and then it's like, well, if you don't hit one of those, then
Mm,
your salary drops to like 30
yeah.
million.
Right.
You know what I mean? So something like
Yeah.
that, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think somewhere around that ballpark. So and again, it's going to be
Right.
all up to John Stanton at the end of the day, because I think Jerry Dipoto, no question, and Justin Hollander, no question, want Otani. Um, and I think they're willing to do really
Yeah.
whatever it takes to land those guys, but that's just going to be, you know, Jerry and company, and they probably have already had these conversations, and maybe that's part of the reason that we've seen the offseason, this past offseason play out the way that it has. They have to have these conversations with Stanton that like, yeah, we want Otani, but we need to be able to keep the rest of our core together because we have to sustain this thing. Because like,
Right.
if you just
It's
go
possible that
balls to the wall for
go
if you go balls to the wall for Otani and then you lose, and then you're just like in a position where you're fucked, and you're gonna lose Cal Raleigh and George Kirby and all these guys, you're no better than the Angels. Because you have Julio, who's essentially your Trout, and then you have Otani, and then you just got to make do with whatever else. Now, I believe more in the Mariners player development, system than the Angels. That I don't think they're going to be an absolute dumpster fire like the Angels in that scenario, but it's not necessarily a place that you want to be as an organization either. So yeah.
Yeah. The Otani question is the tough one because it's not as simple as a lot of people want it. Like, I want Otani. Otani's great. Get Otani.
Yeah.
It's not that simple.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
much as people want to make it that simple, it's not. There are a lot of things you have to consider because you're building a team, right? 1 through 26. You're not trying to get the 3 best players in the world that you can and then just like, we'll see what happens 4 through 26. If you commit too much to Otani, right? And you have this commitment to Julio, that's great and it's fun and it's exciting, but it might not be the best way to win baseball games. And at the end of the day, you'd rather win baseball games than have Shohei Otani and lose, right? I think that's something we can all agree on.
Right. Yeah. I don't want to be the Angels, right? They
Right.
have 2 of the best players in in the history of baseball, and they haven't even finished above 500. So it's just like that doesn't automatically equate to success. Having those guys, having a guy like that on your team, having Julio and Otani on your team, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win a World Series.
Right.
It's really important what the rest of what the other 24 guys look like. So yeah, I just, if you can make it work where you can also maintain the rest of your core, absolutely, without question, do it.
Right.
Like John Stanton should be without hesitation willing to do that. Will he actually do that though? I don't know. So if you're Jerry and Justin and Stanton says, "Yeah, I'll sign Ohtani, but you can't give Cal Raleigh and George Kirby and Logan Gilbert what they're going to want," then I'm going to have to say no to Ohtani. I
Yeah.
just am. I just because not only is it about maintaining the guys like Raleigh and Kirby and Gilbert, it's also like I'm done for free agency for the next few years. I'm done being able to like
Right.
add payroll via trade.
Right. And then everything comes down to how well do you develop Harry Ford and Bryce Miller and
And again, I trust the Mariners more than I do the Angels on that
right.
front, but still, it's
Right.
not.
This isn't one of those get it done no matter what type of things, right? This is, if it
Yeah,
makes sense money wise and it makes sense roster construction wise, do it.
yeah,
But if it
yeah.
doesn't
There's
and you feel like it's going to shorten your window, which it very well could,
yeah,
don't do it.
yeah. Context is very,
Yep.
very, very important with any roster building conversation, but it's probably the most important here with Ohtani
Yeah.
specifically when it comes to the Mariners.
Right. Because there's not a more expensive player in baseball. And he's worth it in a vacuum.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
you don't build rosters in a vacuum. And
yeah.
so Ty and I imagine we're going to spend a lot of this winter until he signs talking
Oh
about
God,
Ohtani because
yeah.
we know he's going to be linked to the Mariners. That's a fact.
Oh
He
yeah,
will be linked to the Seattle Mariners. And we're going to spend a lot of time talking about it, but we're not going to tell you guys whether we think it's a good idea or a bad idea until we see what the numbers are.
dude. Could you imagine what the views would be like on the emergency pod if they signed Ohtani?
Probably like 6K. Be like, really?
Yeah, yeah. We get Gary
Really?
Hill. We get Gary
Yeah.
Hill numbers. I'd probably quit. I'd probably quit podcasting at that point.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I'm done. I'm out. I'm out. See you guys.
It's like,
I'm,
really, guys?
I'm gonna go back to school, get my degree, pick
I
another
can't
avenue
deal
for
with this.
myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
AJ Pollock got 8.8 in the first, 2 months. And we're gonna be like 2 months after Ohtani signs, it's gonna be like 7.4. Like, really? Okay.
Yeah.
That's how we're okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we got a couple more questions to get through. I don't think they're
Yeah.
gonna take all that long either. So are these all from the
Yeah.
same person?
Yeah. These are all from the same. I mean, they're all within the same message, right? They don't
Yeah.
sign it off as like we
Right.
can't see a name here. So,
Right.
all right. This is a question that we already answered on Locked On, but we'll just kind of go over it again. Do you
Sure.
think going into arbitration with Teo will affect relations and possible extensions in the future? Again, that's ultimately up to Teoscar. Um, I thought the Mariners didn't really do anything wrong in this situation because everyone projected Teo to get around $14.1 million, and that's pretty much where the Mariners valued him. Teo thought otherwise and put himself at 16 mil. And obviously the arbiter picked the Mariners side, as tends to be the case
Right.
with most of these arbitration hearings, that usually the organization is the one that's sided with. I don't think that this is a situation that's like Corbin Burns, right, where there was actually a relationship there, and you're saying a bunch of shit like, oh,
Damaged it.
like this guy who's a perennial Cy Young candidate is the reason that we didn't make the playoffs, over $740,000.
Right.
Like, and again, I'm not saying that $2 million is a lot of money. That is a pretty big difference compared to a Corbin Burns situation,
Right.
especially when you don't have a previous relationship.
Right.
Like
And
you've only
let's
been in a relationship with Teoscar for 2 months.
right. And it
You know,
really hasn't even started yet
yeah,
because we don't know if Teo's going to like it here or not. We assume he will, but we don't know. We don't know how it's going to work until you actually see it. But um, we also should stop presenting that Teo and Corbin Burns are the same player. like, like, like Corbin Burns is legitimately one of the 5 best pitchers in baseball, and you're arguing over 750,000. Teo is a borderline all-star corner outfielder. We're talking about 2 million, so it's a pretty big difference there. But no, I don't think this will affect the relationship. Um, I think if the Mariners get to a point where they Teo has interest and there's a number that they both like, that Teo will be open to it and the Mariners will be open to it. Whether or not that happens, I don't know, but I don't think that the ARB thing is going to be the reason why it doesn't happen, right? Because I
yeah,
think if Teo likes it here and he likes the fit and he likes the city and he likes the org and all that stuff, then he'll be open to an extension at market price.
yeah,
So yeah, I don't see that. I really don't see that being a big sticking point going forward. Because again,
yeah,
we don't know how Seattle handled this, but one thing we know for sure that they didn't do is they didn't go into the arbitrator and be like, "This guy cost us the playoffs last year," right? Like there was no bridge to really burn. It's just these are the stats. Here's the projections. What they think he's going to be worth. This is why we think he's worth closer to that than this. And that's it, right? There's nothing personal about that arbitration hearing. Whereas Burns and the Brewers, that was all personal.
yeah. Uh, the
Do you
next
think?
question here. Yeah,
Do
do
you
you
think
think
the
the Mariners? I'll read it. I'll read it.
Sorry,
Do you think the Mariners were being petty or worried irrationally about a weaker repeat? Not
no,
really. No.
no, I don't
No.
think they're connected at all.
Yeah, no. The only similarities between Jesse Winker and Teoscar Hernandez are their corner outfielders. I mean,
Right.
Jesse Winker really isn't even that. But yeah.
No.
Uh
By the
yeah.
way, Winker is going to crush this year. We know. You don't have to send us his numbers. We get it. Okay.
I think maybe we should talk about that on tomorrow's Locked On, like which Mariner that departed this offseason will have the best year, like
Okay.
Jesse or Mitch or someone like that,
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure that'll get a bunch of,
Yeah. Probably.
interactions. So, yeah. All right. How do you think Teo's and Wong's offensive numbers will differ being in T-Mobile?
Not much.
Yeah, not really. I think Teo honestly might hit a few more bombs in Seattle. Um, but I don't know. I don't
Wishful
think that.
thinking.
Okay. I don't think. Especially like with Wong's offensive profile, I don't think he's like it really depends on what ballpark he's playing in. Teo more so because obviously Teo's like a big part of his game is power,
Yep.
but like I don't know. I think Teo's gonna be fine because it's not. Yeah, I think Teo's gonna be. pretty much who he's always been in Seattle. That's not that big of a difference going from Toronto to Seattle. So
Yeah, it doesn't appear to be as big as people think. Obviously, you're playing indoors in Toronto most of the time, so that's helpful. But yeah, I mean, also Teo last year was hurt, right, and he missed some time, and so I think Teo's probably going to hit between 25 and 30 home runs. I think he's probably going to
yeah,
hit somewhere between 260 and 280. I think he's probably going to slug, 450 to 500, somewhere in that range. Like I think he's going to be fine.
yeah. So Teo last year would have hit, if he played all of his games at Rogers Center, would have hit 28 home runs. At
Right,
TMO, he would have hit 31.
right. And the year before, by the way, 25 homers in Toronto, but 34 in Seattle. So
Yeah,
park factors aren't perfect, but it does give you a pretty good idea. Teo's not hitting wall scrapers, right?
yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think he's going to be fine. I don't know how Milwaukee's ballpark plays, to be honest with you. But lefty bats do tend to translate better in Seattle than right-handed bats. And Wong is he's not a big power guy, anyways. Um, but if he played all of his games in Seattle last year, he would have hit 15 homers.
And that was the same in Milwaukee.
Right. So year before it would have been 13, also the same as it was in Milwaukee. So
Yeah,
yeah, the
are
power.
Milwaukee's dimensions like very similar or something like that?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know climate
Yeah,
of Milwaukee compared to Seattle.
yeah,
I
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know, but Wong's skill set traditionally is going to carry over more because, um, it's less reliant on power, right? And so you don't have to worry about T-Mobile sapping Colton Wong's power. And I don't think you have to worry about Teoscar either. I think both guys are going to be within 5 or 10% of what they were last year, and I would actually expect Teo's WRC plus to go up. Um, so yeah, I'm not worried about it. I think they'll be pretty darn good.
So pretty excited about this. Real quick, here's a little behind the scenes exclusive for you guys if you're still listening. So not next week, but the week after, we're gonna have a pretty cool interview on
Ooh.
Thursday. What is it? Hold on, it is Thursday. Tomorrow's the 23rd. Then the next one is the 2nd. So March 9th.
Ooh, that'll be
We
interesting because I don't know who it is. So,
we are going to have Alex
uh,
Fast of Pitcher List
ah,
on the show to talk some pitching. And
ah,
big
yeah.
big fan of Alex.
I'm not, but that's no. I'm joking. That's
uh,
cool.
yeah,
Um,
Alex is a really good follow on Twitter. If
yep.
you are not following him, at AlexFast8 on Twitter. He's one of the big guys over at Pitcher List, and he's also does some stuff with ESPN. So yeah.
Yeah. Do the Mariners have like good pitching to talk about? They have some stuff that maybe might be
Yeah,
interesting.
I'll ask him about Marco Gonzalez, the slider.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that works out well because that's one of the days I'm in Arizona, one of my first days in Arizona. So
Perfect.
yes, we'll have to record some of that stuff ahead of time.
Yeah. I should probably maybe schedule a few more interviews actually
If you
for
can find them.
yeah. Yeah, I could. Dude, I really want to get Shannon on the show. I tried reaching out to her on like publicly because she doesn't have her DMs open. I should just ask Gary. I should
I
be
was
like,
gonna
hey,
say,
Gary.
why don't you just ask Gary?
Yeah, I should be like, Gary, because she was in the background of the first interview that I did when he was in the booth. Like, literally saw her. She was sitting right behind him. I was like, I should have been like, hey, Gary, just turn around real quick and ask Shannon if she wants to come on the show.
Yeah, like what? Yeah, so, um, yeah, Shannon would be great.
Yeah.
Um,
My mom loves Shannon. So
that's
she would be
interesting.
super pumped.
What?
Yeah.
Like, is there some real fast? Is there somebody like that you really don't want to interview from like the Mariner side of things? Like, you're just like, ugh, no thanks.
John Stanton.
I mean, besides John Stan, yeah.
uh, I mean, like, Katie Griggs, I guess. I don't really care about ballpark operations and all this stuff. I mean, but that
Our
for me,
our listeners
well,
might. Well, you
yeah,
probably
our
won't because you're
listeners,
not going to be here. But like,
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Is like I don't live in the area, so I don't have any interest in that. But like I would do it because I know you guys would like that. So
Sure.
or some of you would like that, maybe. Um I'm trying to think. Like anyone that's affiliated with the Mariners that yeah, there isn't really like anyone that I'm like opposed to necessarily.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could have pretty good conversation.
Like there's obviously like some people that I'm just like I'm not super excited about like
I mean,
them,
I'm not
compared to.
interviewing Nathan Bishop or anything like that, but
No, but I'm talking about people that are like actually like with the
like they collect a
organization, or
paycheck or they cover the team.
they cover the team, or they're like with the they're with the team or whatever. There isn't really like anyone
Yeah.
that I'm just like no,
Yeah.
except for John Stanton. I have no
Sure.
interest in doing
No.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Julio and Aaron still at the top of the list, but Shannon would be cool. So yeah, you should reach out to Gary.
Yeah.
Get Rick Riz on.
I'm
um,
gonna I'm gonna try to meet some people when I'm down there in Arizona.
good luck,
Like
man. I don't. Wait, you're just gonna like Gary,
I'm
get
gonna
me in.
yeah, well,
No, I see how it is. I see
maybe
how it. Ty didn't want to curry any favor. I'm going to be down there for a week, and Ty was like, "I don't want to get Colby any access because then it's less likely Gary will
you
give
could
me
hit up
access
you could hit
for
up
the one
Gary.
day." I feel like
You could
Gary
hit
and
up
I don't
Gary.
have that relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Well,
mean, I mean,
you could
I think
try.
I think he likes me more, but
Okay,
like
of
I'm
course,
more
yeah.
aloof, so it's
Right.
I'm not as needy as
Right.
Ty, so I got to keep that persona up. All
I want to
right,
meet. I want to meet Goldie when I'm down there.
yeah.
I
Well,
want to say
I
what's
just
up to
want to talk
Goldie.
to him.
Yeah, I know. I just want to say what's up. Like that's it.
Like
Like
But Goldie has been like near or at the top of our interview wish list since we started. Uh
yeah,
like since we started Control the Zone.
dude. I have his email. I need to just fucking email him. Like I need to just do it.
Is it the
Like
same format as Jerry's?
that's how I figured out Jerry is.
Yeah.
It's
Oh
because
yeah,
I had
that's right.
errands.
That's right. That's right.
Because
Yeah.
I had
Because you
errands.
already had errands, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, you got to get on that. You got to get on that. So,
Yeah.
anyways, uh, so
Yeah. All
last
right. So
question, last one. Yes.
yes.
Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of like a two-parter, but yeah. If Evan White ends up hitting and can prove it in AAA over months of at bats, does he and France share first base, or does France go into mainly a DH role? For fans that haven't seen White play, how big of an improvement defensively in his prime, if he somehow gets there again post injury, is he than France? I mean, yeah, it's pretty significant. You know, Ty
Yeah.
France has been fine at first base.
Yeah.
He was actually really good there in 2021.
Yeah. Took a step back last year.
Yeah, it wasn't
To be
as good,
fair,
and I mean,
so did JP Crawford
yeah,
and Adam Frazier, but not Gino, not Gino. Um,
dude, Gino. I'm so worried about Gino this year. I have like this
why?
irrational fear that Gino's going to be like bad, like really bad this year.
I don't think he's going to be bad. I don't think he'll be like a 4-win player like he was last year, but he's only 31 years old.
I just really want him to be good because I want him to stick around because I love him. he's my favorite.
Yeah, I mean,
Like
he's here for another 2 years.
I know, but
Like
I
they're
just don't
not
want it
giving
to.
him an extension. Let's be clear about
I
that.
just don't want it to get to a point this offseason where it's like we need a third baseman.
Like,
like you know,
yeah, I feel like Gino's probably still going to hit like 230, 320, 450 or something like that.
yeah. I just like it's just an irrational fear of mine.
I'm
It's
not
not
too
really
worried.
based on
I'm not too
yeah.
worried about Gino. We'll just answer the second part because that's easier.
Yeah.
White compared to White to France in terms of first base defense
Yeah.
is kind of like Franklin
Mm,
Gutierrez to Jared Kelnick in center field. Like Kelnick can do it. Like you survive with him, but like
yeah.
it's not the same.
I
Like
mean, Evan White, like, let's just be real about it. Evan White has the potential to be the greatest defensive first baseman of all time. Like, that's how good he is.
there are
Like,
multiple scouts who have already made that call.
yeah,
That Evan White is better than Mattingly. He's better than Keith Hernandez. Evan White is the best defensive first baseman in baseball history. And they were making that call while he was in college. And
yeah,
nothing he's done at the big league level should take away from that.
yeah.
Evan White at first base, I'll put it like that. Evan White is better at playing first base than any other player in baseball is better at playing their position.
Evan White is the Michael Jordan of first base defense. Like,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Unfortunately,
yeah.
that's not all that valuable in the grand scheme of
That's not
things.
yeah, it's not super valuable. Yeah.
It's helpful.
Yeah.
It's helpful, but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think it would be like to answer the first part of the question. I think France, especially with the DH role being open right now, I think the obvious, like the most obvious answer here is that France would mostly DH,
yeah.
and White would play first as long as White is hitting, um, and then I think we would see, on the days that France plays first, that you would see, Evan either DH or play some corner outfield. Um,
Yeah. I I think again, and the question does preface it by saying if he proves he can hit. So if we're assuming Evan White is what, league average or better, um, I think the ideal formation is most of the time Evan White plays first, Ty France DHs. Uh, Once in a while, Evan White plays left field or right field, and France plays first, and that's how you keep your outfielders fresh by rotating them through the DH spot like the Mariners want to do. And then there are going to be times where you're just going to sit Evan White,
right.
like even if he's healthy, you're just going to be like, yeah, I don't like this matchup. We're sitting Evan White today, and there's
Yeah.
going to be a handful of times where Ty France needs a day off. We're going to just bench him. So those two can coexist on the same roster, but Evan White has to hit, and he's got to be able to play a little bit of outfield.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes the most sense. It's we'll see, how the injuries impact Evan moving forward, but it seems like,
Right.
I mean,
So
he's already working out with the outfielders, so it seems like they think he can do it.
right, we're going to see a
Um,
lot of Evan White this summer or this spring too.
yeah.
I would not be shocked if the here you go, Ty. Here's the hot take. Which three
Oh,
Mariners get the most at bats
mm,
in spring training this year in the Cactus League?
Evan White, Cade
Yep.
Marlowe,
Yep.
Jared Kelnick.
Yeah, those would be my three. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna see a lot of Evan White. So we'll see how healthy he is relatively. I mean, we can't make any harsh decisions on it based on spring training games, but we'll have a pretty good idea of how healthy he
I just,
is.
I just want to see him against major league quality pitching.
Yeah, that's the important part, which is gonna be a little tough.
Yeah. And I mean, shit, if he shows like he can hit those guys, then great. Like I feel pretty good about him going into AAA, and then we'll
Hmm.
see. You know, just if he can build some confidence going into the AAA season, it'd be huge. It'd be really huge just for him because it's been, we I think at times, Colby and I get so wrapped up in the numbers and everything else that goes into it that we kind of forget about the mental impact of things. Like that is like a big thing for Evan to kind of overcome is the mental side of things because he keeps on getting hurt. He's had a really rough last couple of years. So if
Yeah.
he can build any sort of confidence going into April, like that'd be massive. That'd be a game changer for him. So
Yeah. Um, yeah. And I think everybody's rooting for Evan White. Great dude. Really fun player. And the thing about his first base defense is that it's so good, it makes every single person on the infield better.
yeah, it's true.
So yeah,
It's very true.
if you can add that with at least an average bat, then it's worth it to use a roster spot on him. If you can't get to
It's
average,
it's
it,
really exciting to think about the upside of him. Like,
he's kind of like Kelnick, where like when he makes contact, he hits the ball a mile, and like on a like his barrel rate is insane,
yeah,
and his exit velocity numbers are insane. It's just he's sold out everything else to be able to do that, and that's a problem.
yeah. It'd be really fucking cool if he got back on track and he was actually able to be a part of this thing.
Like, what do you think the minimum like numbers that Evan White would have to put up at AAA? And I know it's not about numbers, but like,
Yeah, yeah. That's what I was gonna say. I was like, I don't give a fuck what the numbers look like, honestly.
but you
Like, I
kind of
just,
do, because like if Evan White is up there, in AAA, and like he looks okay at the plate, and he's hitting the
yeah,
ball hard, but he's hitting 220 with a 280 on base, like you're not calling that guy up.
yeah,
So it is kind of about production.
yeah,
But it's not just about, oh, he's hitting 300, call him up. It's like, well, he's still striking out 38% of the time,
Like
right?
270, 330, 340, 490.
I think he has to be at least that, and it's got to be into June for me, or maybe even
Yeah.
July.
Well,
And
that's
then
the thing,
what
right?
do you
It's like
think?
you
Like
don't
a
need him right now. So like you can take all the time you need with
no,
him. So
right? And then what do you think? Like, what is a major league slash line? You could throw in strikeout percentage if you want. What's in which one? Like, what is that slash line that you think you can go into this next off season, and go, Evan White has a chance to be a part of this thing, as opposed to like he's toast.
225, 230,
230 on base. Ooh, no.
310, 315, somewhere in that range, 450 slug, something like
Yeah,
that.
I think he's got to be. I think he's got to be around league average, which is about 235, 310, 430 ish, or 415. But I think the power needs to be more because he's playing first base.
Yeah. So again, yeah, like 450 ish. Like,
Yeah.
and that can be doubles. That can be mostly
Yeah.
double. It doesn't necessarily need to be over the wall. Like you would
No.
prefer that, obviously, but
Yeah, and I think his strikeout rate's got to be under 30%.
it's got to be like 28 at the highest.
What
Like
was it?
it
His rookie
was
year
it
was
was
like
it was like
36.
30 it was like 35, 34 or something like that, I think.
Just want to see what it was last year at Double A or Triple A. Huh. They don't
He
have.
was
Why don't
he
they have minor
was
league numbers on Statcast or on
here I got it
Fangraphs?
for you. He
Okay,
was running a 21 and a half K rate and
that's acceptable.
107 plate appearances. Yeah.
Right, small sample. Yeah, he's at
His rookie year he was running a 29.8, or sorry,
41.
2021 he was running a 29.8 at the major league level.
Yeah,
Uh
unacceptable.
41.6 at the major league level in his rookie season. So yeah. Um
Yeah.
like if he's hitting for the slash line that I laid out, around that, and he's striking out like 28% of the time, fine.
Yeah, you're not going into next year like he's a big part of it, but you're like, he's got a shot. We can give him
He
a
could
shot
be
from day one.
Yeah, he could be on the bench at the very least.
Right.
Yeah.
I think, if for Evan White to be in a position where we look at him in 2024 and we go, yep, Evan White is a part of this thing, I think he probably has to hit 250, 330, 470 to kind of like force his way back. And it's got to be in more than like 68 plate appearances. It
Right.
can't be, you got to get like 200 plate appearances. So that kind of data. But we'll see. I'm certainly rooting for him. I know that. So, and I know most of you guys are as well. Evan White remains the most asked about player this winter, which is insane, but it's true. Is there a player that we got asked more about than Evan White this winter?
Yeah, not
I,
really.
I
Like
don't think so.
I mean Kelnick. Yeah,
I feel like
definitely
White got
Kelnick.
asked about more than Kelnick, but
I don't know, man. Everyone asks about Jared
it was
Kelnick.
a lot of questions about Evan White.
Yeah.
So,
Um,
by the way, what'd you do to piss off Churchill?
what do you mean? What did he do?
He
Or what
just
did he say?
tweeted, Dan is the most underappreciated podcaster in at least Seattle.
Wow.
Well,
Wow. I'm fucking hurt.
it's an interesting way to break up a partnership. Okay.
Damn. Relationship over.
You know, you think you know somebody. Oh, this is cool. Oh, maybe not. The Browns interviewed Jets special teams assistant Leon Washington
Oh,
for their
nice.
special team coordinator job.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck
I
the
didn't know
Browns,
Leon
but
was
yeah.
coaching.
Yeah. I
Sweet.
saw him he was at the Senior Bowl last year
Nice.
when Robert Saleh was coaching the national team. I forget which one he was coaching. But yeah, Leon was working with like Bo Melton, I think. Saw him in a
Nice.
couple pictures. So yeah, maybe he's working with Tariq. I can't remember, but yeah, he was working with some special teams guys.
Sweet.
So
Good for him. Good player.
yeah.
All right.
All right.
So I think
Well,
that emptied out the
those
mailbag.
yeah. So uh, sorry for all the sickness sounds. I tried to mute as much as possible. There's one part that I'm gonna have to edit out when I thought I was muted, but I wasn't.
Sure.
You guys won't hear that. But
By the way,
apologies for some of the coughs that I wasn't able to mute out.
right.
Um,
I'm realizing now, like 2 hours into this thing, we never told people how they could send questions.
we did.
Did we? We talked about Bitly.
Yeah.
bit.ly/askcthez.
Yeah. Pretty
I
sure
don't
we
think
did that.
we mentioned that, but okay. Well, also, can you delete questions?
I think so. Let me see.
Like, can you delete like the?
Delete all responses. Yeah. Yeah. So you just delete
Oh,
them
okay.
after you're done with them.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we're good.
Sweet. All
All
right.
right.
Well,
So,
one more thing, Ty.
uh-huh.
I know you're about to wrap, but
Yeah, yeah.
do you remember the last time we did a free episode?
Fuck no. I don't at all.
Do you want to take a stab at it? Because I looked it up yesterday.
June.
Last June.
Yeah.
July 10th, 2021.
Wow. Really? We
Yeah.
went all of 2022 without doing a free show?
Yep.
That's wow, that's
Apparently.
surprising.
That's also not good.
Yeah, we should have we should have done more of
Not
that.
ideal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
All
this
right.
one's free. I
Yeah.
doubt you guys made it this far, but if you did, I hope you enjoyed the free one.
We probably won't do this every month, but
No.
we'll because we want to be fair to everyone that's actually paying for these.
Right.
But yeah, we'll try to drop a couple here and there throughout the year, just so people can get an idea of what the show is like, what we're like when we're not unlocked on, because it is a very different show
Not under the
unlocked on.
yoke of corporate America.
Exactly. Uh, under the
Saw the
thumb
tables of tyranny in
under
half.
the under the thumb of capitalism.
Yes.
Uh,
Gnaw at the ankles of big business. Dismantle the suppressive establishment board by board. Name that show.
That sounds very familiar. Is that?
For shame.
Tell me what.
That is SpongeBob.
Yeah, that was SpongeBob. Yeah, I was gonna. Yeah. That was. Yeah, board. Yeah, board by board. Yeah. No, it clicked for me. I'm also trying to reply to a text simultaneously. Real quick. Well, Caroline's like, "Hey, you said you were going to be done before 6, and now it's like 6:35." She's like,
Ty, you liar. To be fair, we would have been done even with the 2-hour show if we didn't spend 30 minutes talking about Ant-Man before we hit record.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, whatever. We're never on time anyway. At the end of the day, we're never on schedule. But that's just who we are, and I mean, we could change. We could get more responsible, but who wants to do that? That sounds lame. So, yeah,
Growing up's for losers.
yeah, exactly. Being responsible, gross. All right. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I thought I thought this was honestly one of our better episodes, at least as of late. So yeah, I like the question stuff. Again, we're probably not going to do this every week, but if you guys submit some questions, the Bitly is always open. Again, that's bit.ly slash ask C the Z. So the letter C,
Yeah.
the word the, and then the letter Z or
Yeah.
Z if you're Canadian.
Yeah.
So
The believe it or not, Ask CTZ was already taken. So had to get creative there.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
will now end the show with my monologue.
Okay.
I
Go.
will restore the working man to his rightful glory. I will dismantle this oppressive establishment board by board. I will saw the tables of tyranny in half, gnaw at the ankles of big business. That's such a good show, dude. Early SpongeBob was awesome. Anyways,
Dude, early SpongeBob was like
like
OD. That show was awesome.
99 to like 2004 SpongeBob was just insane.
Yeah, that show slapped so hard.
Yeah.
Shout out to the prehistoric episode. Shit sick.
I like SpongeBob, the pencil guy. What's
Oh,
Pencil
Doodle Bob,
Bob or whatever?
Doodle
Doodle
Doodle Bob.
Bob. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Of
It's
course, the Bubble
fucking
Bowl.
yeah, the Bubble Bowl, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
Bubble Boy or Bubble Man. What was his name?
Oh,
Bubble
the Dirty
Man.
Bubble.
No. The
Was it
guy
a?
that he's a bubble that wears like a fedora.
Oh yeah.
What was his name? Was his
Yeah.
Bubble Boy? Was it
I
Bubble
think it was
Boy?
just Bubble Man or something like that.
Yeah. Shout
Let's
out
see if
to
I can
him.
find it real fast while you do the wrap up. I'm gonna see if I can find his
All right.
name.
So thank you again to everyone that tuned in, especially if you are not subscribed. Please subscribe to the Patreon if you like this episode and you want to hear us more in a long form show. We get into we'll touch on topics that we or we'll expand rather on topics that we get into on Locked On, because we only have so much time on Locked On. We'll also just we'll save some topics to talk about on here. We'll also just riff. I mean, not every show is as structured as this one. Sometimes we just kind of, like I said at the top of the show, we kind of just shoot the shit and just see what happens, and we kind of make a show out of that. It's a bit of a mixed bag here, but if you just kind of enjoy us for some reason and you enjoy us talking, and that's really kind of why you're here, and some of our listeners have said that's kind of why we're here. Like, they're like, yeah, I have really no interest in what you're talking about, but I like hearing you guys talk, so that's it. If you're into that, then yeah, subscribe. All it takes is $3 a month for you to get access to our Wednesday shows, and then a couple of extra bucks on top of that for $5 a month. You can get access to all of our shows that we do, so that's Monday and Wednesday. And so yeah, so if that sounds interesting to you, you can try it out. All you have to do is sign up for a month, but we're also offering yearly subscriptions as well. You can just pay for the whole year up front if you want, and if you want to make that investment, take the risk. And
you get nice.
And you get a percentage off. You essentially pay for the equivalent of 10 months rather than the full 12 months if you sign up for a whole year.
10 months up front, and then you get 2 months free. 16% is the actual number. It's the most that Patreon would let us do. So you're welcome.
All right. Did you figure out Bubble Boy, Bubble Man?
Bubble Buddy.
Bubble Buddy. That's right. Yeah, Bubble Buddy. Did you ever play Battle for Bikini Bottom?
No, I didn't.
That's such a good game.
No,
they remastered it and it was kind of shitty. Like, they didn't do it justice, but man, that's a fucking classic.
Hey,
it's like a PS2
Kevin?
classic. Oh yeah, Kevin.
The sea cucumber.
Yeah, Kevin.
Yeah. Do you want it to hurt, Kevin? Next episode, nothing but SpongeBob memes. See you guys on Friday.
There we go. All right, guys. I will see you guys tomorrow for Locked On. If I'm sick, I'm sick, but we got to do an episode tomorrow. This was our only day we can afford to take off, so we're just gonna have to go for it. So if I'm half dead tomorrow, you just got to deal with it. So we'll see how that goes. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. If you haven't subscribed already, please do, and we'll see you next time. Peace.